going on, Sergio? How you doing today?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing good.
You know,
I'm healthy.
that little intro there, the little picture between you and Dara. I think
Mm,
we're gonna have to do like a little animation where there's a little heart
Yeah,
and then it
heart
cracks and
broken.
splits off.
I guess I'm not
'Cause-
getting invited to the Valentine's Day party.
no, I don't think so either.
I
Oh,
blew my chance.
I don't know we got a nice big show for you guys today. I don't know if anybody had the chance to read Len Sherman's part 2 article that just launched earlier today, and it's still up. It's still up. I just looked, so there's no problems there. But we're gonna be breaking that down later. But shots double fired, I gotta
Shut
say there. And a nice little snippet from your participation in his quest to, you know, try to make people aware of what's going
Uncover the
on
bullshit.
within Uberland, essentially. So we got a lot to talk about there. But let's do the rundown. What we got for you today? Special guest today. We have Daniel Ocampo of NELP coming on in just a few minutes. He's going to be talking about what's going on with the whole thing. The 339 pages hopefully will be broken down in just a few minutes for you guys. Let you know exactly what's going to happen, what changes to expect, if any, and all of that good stuff. We're going to be talking about, yes, Len Sherman's second article dropping, and we're going to be talking about that, what it is, and link is going to be in the description below. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you can. And it's titled, Will 2024 Be a Year Reckoning for Uber's Driver Relations? So check that one out. It's a big article, but there's a lot of great information. We're going to break it down, obviously, right here on Show Me the Money Club. Also, we're going to be talking about employee versus independent contractor. We're going to go over polls, what you guys had said and indicate. Then we're also going to be talking about how Mr. Sergio right here drove this weekend with 100% AR. Mr. Ant. Question
Yeah.
is, how did he do? We're going to be talking about that, his results there. We're also going to be talking about Lyft putting people still in timeout and still
Well,
sending threatening emails when canceling for legitimate reasons. So too many people in the car, children without car seats, you don't feel safe, all those still putting people in timeout and canceling with emails going out, which is a real pain in the ass there. Then also we're talking about how Lyft is copying Uber again for its busy out there, go out and drive emails and notifications. I did get one as well, and I was trying to open it up, but unfortunately, it was only like a little notifications like, oh, it's busy out there right now because we had a snowstorm. So yeah,
super busy.
there's that. And then I open up the app, and guess what, Sergio?
Yeah.
There was no surge. There's no prime time
Snowstorm.
listing. There was
Yeah.
nothing.
I'm getting
Both
that a
on
lot. I'm
both
getting
on
that a
Uber and
lot
Lyft.
from, yeah. I'm getting a lot from Boston, Chicago, snow everywhere. There's no sir. Utah. This driver was in Utah. I'll go like, I don't know what's going on, but we'll talk about it.
Yep. And then I was for the Bills game and all that. It wasn't really that much surge. So yeah, I don't know what they were talking about. I think they just hit like a send out email to everybody saying, "Hey, get out on the road because it's
Uh-huh.
snowing and we want people out there." But the reality is, you
No.
really couldn't in my area because everything was shut down. But then we're also going to be talking about another glitch on Uber. Why isn't period 3 showing up in the trip summary on shared trips? We're going to do
Scheduled
our
position.
fun little game, cash or trash, and then we're going to end with some facts and funnies. So we got quite a big show for you, and just a couple of quick announcements before we get into our special guest. I just want to remind you guys that we have a new membership tier out there. So if you'd like to support the channel, you can. There's different tiers. Actually, Sergio and I will be doing a private live stream with our members who are of that tier. I think next week we have that scheduled. So
Yeah.
we'll fill you guys in on the community tab there. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you guys want to join, support the channel, then you can. Also, there is a link in the description for the free newsletter where you can get more information, more things that's going to be broken down, things like that, right from the RideShare Guy. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter there. All right, Sergio, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we have Dan Ocampo on, and he is from the NELP here to talk about this ruling on the on the DOL rule. Dan, thank you for joining. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here with you both.
How are you, Dan?
I'm well.
Good,
How
good.
about you guys?
I'm gonna. Am I gonna wear my Uber shirt and Lyft hat on March 11th? What's happening? So, a lot of people, are confused. There's a lot of information out there, and most of it is incorrect, I'm pretty sure. And we want to know. I mean, you're the man. You. So first, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Great. So I'm Dan Ocampo. I am an attorney at the National Employment Law Project, NELP. And I work on a lot of these issues and work with a lot of groups of driver and delivery driver and rideshare driver drivers who are organizing and work on policy campaigns at the state level and some of this stuff at the federal level as well. So I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about this rule that was published last week by the US DOL and really focus on what it does do and what it doesn't do, because as you said, Sergio, there has been a good amount of sort of, I think, misinformation circling around. So what this rule is about is who is eligible for rights and protections under one federal statute, which is the 1935 Fair Labor Standards Act, which is the federal law that sets a minimum wage, federal minimum wage, and overtime protections. And so what this rule does is it makes some modifications to the legal test for determining who is an employee covered and eligible for overtime for minimum wage, and who is an independent contractor that is not covered. And really those modifications are a restoration of the law as it used to be a few years ago before the Trump administration's rule on this issue.
Right.
So what it doesn't do is it doesn't affect in any way directly rights and protections under other federal statutes, which is to say that the right to organize, unionize under the National Labor Relations Act, health and safety protections under the OSH Act, nor does it directly affect anything under state law, workers' comp, paid leave, unemployment insurance, or any state minimum wages, which tend to be much higher, or in many states are much higher than federal minimum wage. So it doesn't really directly affect any of those things. All it does is determine who is a worker eligible for federal minimum wage and overtime.
Yeah. So let's make sure that people understand this is a federal ruling, right? And just like Dan just said, federal minimum wage. You all know what the federal minimum wage is. $7, $7.25. Is that something like that?
$7.25. Yeah.
So all of you, our community is 99.9% drivers. So if you're not making $7.25 per hour, I think you're in the wrong business. I think it's time to go flip some burgers. So that's why I think these companies responded in a way that, I don't think it's going to make a difference. We're going to run business as usual, right? So let's talk a little bit about the 6 guidelines or 6 items in this ruling, one by one, and which one sounds like we may actually be an employee and which one doesn't sound like we may actually be an employee.
Yeah. And let me just say quickly that, federal minimum wage is pathetically low. It hasn't been raised in 15 years, since 2008. Hasn't been adjusted for inflation, which is why it's so low. But, I think if you want to take a positive view of this kind of rule, the basic idea is that, rideshare drivers, delivery drivers are workers who should be guaranteed some kind of pay floor at the federal level, at the state level, some kind of pay floor. And although this pay floor is pretty low, it's something. And then of course you add in overtime protections, which, I can go into in more detail a little later, but which can be meaningful for workers who are working 40 hours a week, or more than 8 hours a day. But just to answer your question, so the way this rule sets out the legal test, it is as you said, it's a 335-page document. It's really long. And a lot of that is going through this legal test in pretty exhaustive detail. But basically, it asks one fundamental question, which is the worker in business for themselves, truly in business for themselves as an independent contractor, or are they dependent on the business of another? Are they dependent on an employer for that business? That's the question that it's trying to ask. And it goes through 6 different factors to try and get at that question.
Well, according to that question, usually the question that was asked is the driver in our case in business for themselves? Yes. And the other one is it controlled by the employer? Or yes. Right. I can't do without Uber, right? Without Uber sending me clients, but I am in business for myself. So let's talk a little bit about those 6 points.
Yeah, I think you touch on exactly the tension that runs through this, and it's difficult to figure out. So the 6 factors. The first one is opportunity for profit or loss. So true independent contractors should have the opportunity to increase their profit or to make a loss. And that should come from something other than by just working more hours or taking more jobs, but by some kind of managerial skill, they can increase their profit. That's a basic feature. So that's the first of these factors. The second is investments. Is the worker making capital investments into building their businesses, investments that are comparable in some way to the investments the employer is making? And that's not just tools of the trade that things that you need to buy in order to do the job, but actual capital investments to grow your business. So marketing, things like that. The third factor is the degree of permanence. So is the relationship between the worker and the employer like a long-term, continuous, indefinite relationship, or is it project-based, sporadic, and non-exclusive? So if you think here about like a plumber who comes to fix your sink and then maybe your shower 6 months later, that looks like an independent contractor. It's sporadic and project-based, as opposed to a janitor who cleans the same office building every day. They look much more like an employee under this factor.
Yeah.
The fourth, which you previewed, is the nature and degree of control. So does the potential employer control the conditions of work? And some of the conditions that they look to, it's like scheduling, which we know a lot about, but supervision, price setting, and the ability to work for others. So it's sort of asking the question, like, are you setting your own prices? Are you determining what good or service to sell? Can you hire other people? Are you determining who you enter contracts with? Those are the kinds of questions in determining whether the worker is controlling their own conditions of work or whether they're being controlled by an employer. So if you think about like freelance journalists, I know this is a big issue. Freelance writers who don't want to be covered, if they're working whenever they want, without basically any supervision and setting their own prices, and writing for whoever they want, under this fact, they would pretty clearly be, I think, true independent contractors in business for themselves.
Yeah.
The fifth factor is asking whether the work performed by the worker is critical, necessary, or central to the employer's principal business. So, I mean, in this case, it's pretty difficult to deny. Uber's central business is taxi rides, so the work performed is pretty.
No, they're software companies. They're not.
Yeah, that's really a stupid argument that I've had them make. But yeah, if you think about a pizza shop, like an electrician who fixes something at a pizza shop isn't integral to the principal business of making and selling pizzas, but the pizza cooks or the delivery workers are central to that business. Yeah. So that's the fifth. And the sixth and final factor is skill and initiative. So does the worker possess specialized skills that they are using to build a business? So, you think about security guards and call center workers who may not usually have specialized skills, but freelance journalists, freelance writers pretty clearly have a specialized skill they're bringing to this that they're using to build a business. So that's the sort of the overview of what the legal test is. And a court or an agency would go through those 6 factors and would kind of see how they weigh out, and then would make a determination based on the totality of the circumstances, based on everything that has come forward, whether the worker is truly in business for themselves or dependent on another for business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in California, so I lived through AB5 and Proposition 22, which I'm living with Proposition 22 now. Under the AB5, the ABC test, right? It had 3 factors, but then in these 6 factors, does one weigh more than the other? Does one take precedence like it did with the AB5 situation? Or it's just basically, because to me, from what you said, out of the 6 points, Daniel, I think 3 pretty much apply to the rideshare driver. 3 probably not. So how does that decision going to be made? Like, if I believe 3 have definitely applied to a rideshare driver. So how does that decision going to come around?
I mean, I think it's I don't want to speculate too much. It's difficult to say as you say it. Like, you can see reasonable decision makers coming down differently on different of these factors, but clearly several of them suggest that under the current business model that Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, et cetera, have, their workers are being treated more as employees than as true independent contractors who are in business for themselves. And it's totally possible that, you know, in an agency determination or in a court ruling applying this test, that's what they would conclude. There's no single factor that's more important than any other. It's really just like, this is sort of a guideline for going through this test. So it's difficult to predict. It is quite different than the ABC test, which is what was used in '85. It has been applies under Massachusetts state law and in some other places. And that's because that test starts from a presumption of employment status that the employer then has to disprove. And they can only disprove that by showing each of three factors, the A, the B, and the C. And if they can't show any of those, then they lose and the worker is an employee. So that was a sort of a stricter and less flexible test than this one.
Right. So now I understand why these companies are not panicking and why their stocks did not tank when this ruling came out, unlike it did last September, when the rumors were around that, the ruling is going to come out and we may all be wearing, you know, Uber shirts and Lyft hats. But then this time around, it didn't work out that way, because to me, from what you're explaining now, I don't think they have much to worry about. But, you know, I mean, look, we're a 99.9% rideshare driver-centric channel. And we do run our polls and surveys. And, you know, we did run one. We're going to talk about it once you leave. But let's talk quickly about that. I mean, we ran the poll. 85% of our viewers want to stay independent contractors. That's pretty overwhelming. And so my question to you is, do we have to worry about, you know, being employees under this rule, period? Or where do you see this going? What do you see? Look, March 11th is only a couple of months away. So where do you see this process going? Do you see this as legal battles raging for a while? What do you think? What is your prognosis?
Well, maybe just to take what you said at the beginning there, you know, I saw the poll that you put on your website, and it's interesting, and you know, that a lot of rideshare drivers, delivery drivers would prefer to be independent contractors, but that they also feel that they're not being treated as true independent contractors currently.
Very true.
But I guess my sort of response to that is that I don't think that it's really the right question to ask, you know, whether drivers want to be independent contractors or employees, nor is it really the question that this rule is trying to ask. What it's asking is, do some subset of workers, including rideshare drivers, delivery drivers, should they be entitled to a federal minimum wage and overtime if they're not currently receiving it? That's the question it's asking. And in order to get there, you know, you have to make this determination under law to apply this statute. But that's really the question that this is asking. And as you said, it's $7.25 an hour. And then for hours worked over 8 hours a day or 40 hours a week, it's $10.80 or 1.5 times whatever the hourly wage is. So really, the companies should only be worried if they are regularly paying workers under the federal minimum wage, or not paying, or not paying under that overtime wage rate as well. So that's the only reason I think they should be worried. And I would hope, as you say, that that's not regularly happening, and certainly under this rule that it shouldn't. In terms of what to expect, so you said the effective date of the rule is March 11th, so that's when it goes into effect. Totally possible that will be delayed. There are legal challenges that are already underway from industry groups that are suing the Department of Labor, saying they don't have the power to do this, or whatever arguments they're making. That I don't think will ultimately be successful sort of on the merits, but may be successful at throwing sand in the gears and slowing down the actual rollout of the rule. But even then, when the rule goes into effect, nothing is going to change immediately. It's not self-executing, so it requires DOL to actually enforce. So it has to go after specific employers that it believes are misclassifying its workers and paying under the minimum wage or not paying overtime, and bring a case against them and litigate that to resolution before anything will change in any specific industry or with any specific set of workers. So again, I think the timeline for this is a little longer than just March 11th. Okay,
and as far as obviously we talked about a timeline, we talked about the 6 points that involves the companies, and this seems like a pretty loose ruling actually to me. I mean, if they wanted to squeeze these companies, they probably could have squeezed these companies a lot more. But I think part of it is because there is no Department of Labor secretary out there. There's Julie Su out there who's like a nominee. She hasn't been voted in yet, and even her own party doesn't want that. But I mean, look, that's a political thing. So okay, so for our audience and watching later, calm down. You're not going to be wearing Uber hats and Lyft shirts. Don't worry about it. Not at the moment, anyway. I'll give you the floor for the last few minutes. Give our audience some advice. Give us, you do organize. Obviously, you help organize communities, driver communities, or worker communities out there. And I personally think, okay, and next week we're going to have Malda on, Minnesota Uber Lyft Drivers Association President Eid Ali, and hopefully Senator Fatah, who's supporting that. I think our fight has to be, look, I love the Seattle model. Chris loves the Seattle model and Washington State model. I think it's really, we can duplicate that city by city, state by state. What do you think about a proposition like that, as opposed to, everybody under one umbrella in a federal ruling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Molda and what they're doing, and Eid and Senator Fatah, and there's a bunch of different groups in different states and cities, as you say, doing similar things. And we have a really good set of minimum pay standards in Seattle, the state level in Washington, and New York City for rideshare drivers, and then a separate one for food delivery workers that just went into effect. And legislation moving in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Colorado, DC, a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
And I'm totally supportive of those efforts, and NELP is involved in those. And I think the basic principle is just that rideshare drivers and delivery drivers obviously are being underpaid right now, and should be entitled to some kind of pay for. I think the model in Seattle and New York City is a really good one, and I think should be replicated. And it creates a really robust minimum pay standard. But I don't think there's anything to be scared of having a federal minimum wage that sits beneath that. It's just that the current federal minimum wage is so low, and has been so low, that it's a little less meaningful right now.
Okay.
But
if our audience has some questions for you on the side, because chat's flying, I'm not paying any attention, but I'm sure people are asking questions. How do they reach out to you? If how do they reach out to the NELP?
You can look up our website, but you can also totally reach out to me by email. I can drop my email maybe in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go. You can drop it in the chat
for sure.
But what we'll do is we'll also put it in the show notes when the live is over. Look, people, this is an important question, and hopefully we answered all your questions. So don't worry, you're not going to become employees yet. Unless you want to be, unless you're in the 15% who wants to become employees. I mean, look, 15% said they want to become employees. I certainly don't. I don't think Chris does. I want to stay independent contractor.
You know what? I've been pondering this, and I want to know what a rideshare employee would look like. What would that actually look like? Because that's the thing. Nobody knows what you're basing an employee off of. What we know as a McDonald's worker or something like that. Probably scheduling, those types of things. But the reality is, what if it wasn't like that? What if it was something different? I'd just want to see what it would be like, and then I can make my decision based on that. Because the problem is, what the model is currently as quote unquote independent contractor, but the reality is they're trying to do what they can in order to subvert that as much as they can by having the most control over you. And yes, it probably does falter over the full territory of being an employee versus an independent contractor. But the reality is, what would a true employee model look like as a rideshare driver or food delivery worker? What would that really look like comparatively to, something that we see at a day in, day out job, 9 to 5, something like that? I'm sure it's probably going to be different. That's why I want to know now, because then that way we can base our decisions much better on what would be better.
We have had that in New York City when the TLC pushed the ruling, and they said you can't log on anytime you want anymore. You're just I'm going to give you a schedule, and just like an employee, you come in at a certain hour, you can log in. And now they're doing it with the delivery workers in New York City. They're going like, look, I think my thing is, because it's an app-based system, it's so new, only a decade old. I think it's going to be like, okay, you take every order, you're active pretty much all 60 minutes. You take every order, you're getting paid a minimum wage in New York City now for couriers is 26 bucks or whatever it is per active hour. You take every order, $2, $5, $10, it doesn't make a difference. You get tips, great. If you don't, no big deal. But you're going to live with this. And I think that's what the model is going to. Same for rideshare, Chris. I think you're going to take every trip, just like I did this weekend. Take every trip. That's it. And if you don't make it, we'll top it off for you, and you get the difference. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I forget exactly how it works, but I believe that Revel, I don't know if you've had anybody on for Revel, or you know how Revel works, but I believe
we're going to have the CEO on actually in probably next month, yeah.
Because that's a sort of an EV-focused rideshare company that definitely exists in New York, and I believe that they have drivers who are employed as employees. So I think maybe that's the answer to your question, what that actually looks like. And on the delivery side, I know that in New York as well, Relay, which is one of the food delivery apps that doesn't have a consumer-facing side, has scheduled shifts, and I think it's sort of different strokes for different folks. But I know that there's a lot of workers who actually prefer to deliver with Relay because it's they know when they're working. They can sign up for 3 or 6 hour shifts. They get paid a little better. So I think there's reasons to be optimistic that you could have a different model that would actually work pretty well and wouldn't be some kind of dystopia in which workers are getting squeezed, forced to work very specific hours and all. And so that's sort of my 2 cents on that.
I think this is going to go on, obviously. We'll bring you on again after March 11th for an update of what happened. Actually, we'll hold you to your predictions. But no, thank you for coming on, man. Much appreciated. If there's anything you want to add, please go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah, just say, follow those state campaigns that will be coming. I'm excited that Molde is coming on, and to drivers out there, I think the number one thing to do is just to be involved with any sort of local organizing in your area, your city, your state, because that's really the way to get these companies to listen, and to fight for whatever it is that you want to make this work good and to make this a good job that you can sustain yourself with, which is, I think, pretty basic. But so I would encourage that, and yeah, I certainly look forward to being back on at some point.
Well, thank you, Dan. Much appreciated. Here's Dan from NELP. If you guys have any questions, we'll put the link in the show notes. You can directly email them or go to their website and get your questions answered. Thank you, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you both. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, thanks, Dan. Have a good one. All right, so that is straight from the horse's mouth. Probably no real changes when it comes down to it. So it's a lot of hype and not really too much to worry about if that's something that you were worried about. If you wanted to see more, well, you're going to have to do something different. So thanks, Dan, for coming on. We appreciate that. And yeah, what do you want to add?
No, I mean, I think, look, I honestly think not much is going to change. I agree with Dan completely. And even if it did, these companies are going to spend a boatload of money, tie this up in courts. And, March 11th is 2 months away, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. And the fact that, I didn't understand why these companies did not panic initially. But after I had the private conversation with Dan, before I invited him on the show, he said, Serge, it's about $7.25. Then I go, oh, now I know why. Because everybody should be making $7.25 an hour. You know what I mean? So I go, okay, now I know why. All right. So don't panic. Hopefully you're all making $27.25 as opposed to $7.25. And yeah, so don't panic. You'll be fine. So you'll stay independent contractor. There you go.
Yep. And we would just want to say, John, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. And then, we've got quite a bit to talk about now for you. We have a huge new article that just dropped earlier today, and really interesting. I don't know if anybody had the ability to read it yet or not, but this is round 2 of Professor Len Sherman's scheme. I wouldn't call it scheme, but realizations, I'll say, of Uber and their operations when it comes to drivers, squeezing pay, when it comes to pay decreases, lack of transparency, a lot of things there, a lot of things that we've talked about on the show before, and a couple of different models there. So this is round 2. Again, it's on Forbes. Link is going to be in the description below. So if you want to read the article in its entirety, then you can. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And it was titled, Will 2024 Be a Year of Reckoning for Uber Driver Relations? And
well, if he had titled this a little differently, because last one went viral. I'm not sure if this is going to go viral, but this is something that, by the way, I'm quoted in there, but I can't thank our community enough, because all the proof that we've been talking about for a month, Chris, okay? EV shaving, surge shaving, boost shaving, all these things that we're talking about, how the base fare is being manipulated and, moved up and down if there is surge on a trip. All these things are in this article. And guess what, people? It is your screenshots. This article came to fruition because of you people, right? This is what we can do together. And I provided him with all the screenshots. And they're yours. They're not mine, not from my personal trips, but they're from you guys. And it's all over the article. Look, the article is a little bit too long. Like, it's a little TLDR. It's about 15 pages long. And if he had, titled this article, Chris, is Uber CEO going to get his $50 million bonus on the backs of the drivers? This would have gone crazy, right? So again, as we know, in anything, thumbnails and titles are important. That's why some videos do well, some don't. But we will talk about that. And, I want to thank Len. I mean, Len was on our show 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, whenever it was, after his first article that went up and back down and went up. Now, unfortunately, Forbes articles sometimes could be behind a paywall. Let me explain to you how you guys can get away with reading the article. First of all, go copy and paste the URL. Then go to a website called archive.ph, Paul Harry, and paste the URL in the box. Click on it. I am sure this has been already put in there previously, and you will be able to get around the paywall and read the article. It's long, but it had to be long because there is so much that's wrong, Chris. It had to be long. Yeah. And honestly, I couldn't thank our community more, because without you guys, this article wouldn't have happened. Without a question, it wouldn't have happened, because we have the proof. We have the stuff that's going on. And this should be shared by every single driver. Like, there's, 300 of you here. All 300 of you are on social media. All 300 of you, are on some sort of Facebook group. All 300 of you are on up.net or Reddit. Please post the link of this article. This article has to go and be read by as many drivers as possible, because this is from the heart of the driver. And I want to thank Len. I mean, look, we worked on it together, obviously, to a point. I wrote a paragraph about my thoughts about where the rideshare game is these days. And, there was one line that I said that I think sums it up pretty much. It was towards the end. Look, these companies are built by the literal blood, sweat, and tears of the drivers. And the respect that we get as rideshare drivers from the C-suites or executives of these companies are nonsense. It's bullshit. If you guys don't want us to complain, pay us better. And it's everything in the article. I mean, I think he did an amazing job with the article. Is there a part 3? I'm not sure. But I think allow this, this one to get digested. But again, please share it. And I told you how to jump over the paywall situation. And I thank the community. I mean, I appreciate it. And that's why keep him coming. Sergio at the RideShareGuy.com. And here's one of the, screenshots. These are our trips that you guys have sent me. How they lower base fare and how the rebalancing actually is not actually rebalancing, okay? Because they sold this as rebalancing, Chris. There's no rebalancing. Long trips are getting cut by 20-30%. Short trips are about the same. I mean, I did trips this weekend. It's a cut, even on the short trips. And medium trips are a cut of 10%, 12%. So if I'm getting cut on all these 3, you can't, as a company, Uber, come and tell me this is rebalancing. Because for the last 6-7 years, every time I heard, easy to understand, rebalancing, consistency of earnings, I run the other way because it's a rate cut. It's been a rate cut. So to me, proof is in the pudding. And I don't know. Let's see if, last one, remember, Uber came up with a rebuttal the next day.
Yeah.
Let's see if they come up with this one, because there isn't much to say about this. This is reality. Everything has changed. The game has changed since upfront fares. And, so I'll let Chris do the rest of it.
Yeah. And I mean, a couple of things we've talked about quite extensively on the show throughout the 2 years of doing the show almost. But I mean, the big thing was that you alluded to was talking about the rebalancing. Now, prior to this massive little change when it came to your minimum fare, what was your minimum fare before the last couple of weeks? What was it?
375. 375.
75. So that first ride that he's looking at, because he was using LA rates,
Yeah, those are, yeah.
which would say it says $3 on that first one. So even if it shows $3, that's still a rate cut compared to the 371, because it would be a minimum fare ride. So it would actually be exactly the same. It'd be exactly the same pre or post, but because he wasn't putting that in there. So that was one thing that I do want to point out. So even though it shows that it would be 27 cents higher, in reality, it wasn't, because the minimum fare would keep it at the same. But then talking about the medium one was $1.19 difference lower under upfront fares versus that, the old time and distance. And then the long trip was $14.98. So almost $15 right there has completely gone away. And I mean, like, just think of how much that would be. So it was $36.29, $15. You're talking about a third of the fare just gone, 33% cut right there. And that's what they were saying, about 33% or about 30% lower and about 30% higher. But the problem is your short trips naturally are lower to begin with. So are you going to raise it to a minimum of $8, $9, $10 for a minimum fare just to equal the balance? So it's like, that's something that I mean, we didn't really talk about it. Maybe it flew under our radar in terms of that, but it was still something that was on it.
Well, it's in the article, it's in the article. Like, if I do one long trip and eat $15, how many short trips can I do to have that rebalancing happen? You know what I mean?
It's like, it says you'd have to accept over 50 short trips to compensate for the pay cut.
I mean, think about it
on that single long trip. So
all this hocus pocus stuff, it's hocus pocus.
Crazy. I mean, and then, just kind of going towards the end, there is a couple of actions that he's calling for in this. That's why, he sets all this up. He provides a lot of information. That's why it is so long. But, there's just a few points that he hits on that he's calling for. And I think that's good to talk about, where it's establishing more open and responsive channels of communication with Uber's driver community, including regular comprehensive surveys of driver satisfaction, and monitor the impacts of company policies, town halls, and vastly improved dealer support services. Too many drivers do not currently feel heard, valued, or respected. That's something where we talked about. They put out a poll several years ago at this point that they allude to, saying that, the driver community is very happy. But then we ran our poll, and it says how many percentage people are
71%. 71% were unhappy to extremely dissatisfied. So,
and then the other, one other point that we raised was, you're probably getting a lot of disgruntled people on our poll, but you're also getting a lot of scared people on their poll who are not going to answer it properly because they fear that there could be some sort of retribution by answering negatively, because they think that their answers are going to be tracked. So they're probably going to actually start going higher on their polls. So I'm going to call out Uber's own poll by saying it's skewed positively when ours is probably skewed negatively. And I would say probably somewhere in the middle is where you're going to see the true actuality of how satisfied or dissatisfied drivers actually are.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, it's not, our polls are not scientific. 3,000 people vote on it. And, Uber said that already. They said, you guys are full of shit. It doesn't mean anything. We have 3 million drivers. I'm like, okay, do your own poll. Send it to us. Let's see what they look like. Because last poll you guys ran was 2020. That's 4 years ago. A lot has changed in the last 4 years, Uber. Do your own poll. Get your own 300, 400,000 votes.
Yep. And then, the other thing he's calling for is to be more transparent and honest in communicating how Uber's business practices impact all company stakeholders. Uber CEO can't just declare perfect transparency. He has to earn it. Drivers quoted in the article reflects dissatisfaction of a large segment of the Uber drivers and his own experience perceiving that Uber is not being straight with them. It's Uber's responsibility to understand and address current sources of misunderstandings, distrust, and demoralization. That was talking about like deactivations
Yeah.
and just the overall sentiment.
I mean,
Reinstate minimum minimum mile and minute pay rates to eliminate these type of trip offer highlighted in the article, which he's talking about, where we've talked about like the shaving, whether it's EV shaving, upfront tip shaving, all of these different types of things that can roll in. These surges, a lot of that is rolled in and eliminating almost the base fare entirely, just to add the bonus and to make it seem like it's attractive when in fact you should be getting paid a lot more. So he talks about that, and then accelerate collaborative efforts with government agencies seeking to improve other aspects of driver work conditions, using Uber's own survey highlight areas of greatest driver concern, including safety, sick pay, deactivation protections, improved support services, and faster dispute resolution. So they're talking about a lot of things there. So it was a really good article, like I said, overall.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a long article. Again, please, the link is in the show notes. Go click on it. The way you get around, thank you, Steve. The way you get around the archive, the way you get around the paywall is go to copy the URL into archive.ph box, and then you should be able to read the article if you're on a paywall. Now, I want to touch this for like a couple of minutes, Chris. When Uber went IPO in 2019, September of 2019, the banks had, or the investors had given, thank you, Michael. The investors had given Dara Khosrowshahi, who was the CEO of Uber, a bonus structure. Okay, the bonus structure was that he would receive 1.75 million shares of Uber as a bonus, with a cost price of $33.75 as an exercise price, if the market capitalization of Uber stayed at $120 billion for 90 days on average. Okay. I think, and we know after that what happened. Obviously, 2019, 2020, the pandemic hit. Stock never got to $120 billion market capitalization. But Len did a fantastic job. It's in the article, towards the end of the article. You guys look at the chart on the left. Okay. And he points out with pointers how important those dates are. Okay. And if you guys look at what's happening now, Uber stock has been above 60. So Uber has 2 billion shares outstanding, a little bit more than that. So they have been, for the last at least 30 days that I know of, they have been stock market capitalization has been at 120 billion or more. So he's 1 month into it. Okay. When I say he, the CEO, to receive this bonus. So let's calculate quickly. If it stays like this for another 2 months, and this deal, by the way, will expire September of this year. So this deal was given to him for 5 years from 2019 when the company went IPO. So 2019 to 2024 is 5 years. So by September, on average, if Uber's market capitalization stays around $120 billion or more, he's going to receive 1.75 million shares of stock at 33. Well, if he sold it the same day at 60, assuming it's at 60, that's a $55 million bonus. Now, his salary is already there. This is just an extra when the company was going IPO. And my concern with this is that, until that happens, he gets his shares, because it's expiring in September. And what's going to happen is that charge as much as you can, pay as little as you can is going to continue. And I think, I wouldn't want to let go of my $50 million bonus that I'm sitting on. All I have to do is go on for another 3 months, and then I'll get my 50 million extra. And, this needs to be told. And this is on the back of the drivers. I'm not going to, sugarcoat any of this. I would like to have the $50 million myself. But since they control both sides of the marketplace, They're able to charge as much as they can, obviously with certain price elasticity, and pay as little as they can. And I think they're going to accomplish that. So for the next 3 months, I don't see much changing, Chris. And plus, market's oversaturated. I mean, they had the natural tailwind anyway, and seasonally it's kind of slow. So drivers are going to not have a good time until this guy gets his $50 million. And you know, that's it. And is there a direct correlation? Yeah, because if you guys look at the chart, on to the right of the chart, Uber stock bottomed at $21 a share when upfront fares came around, which was right about September of 2022. And since then, stock has done nothing but go up. And Len's previous article proved that upfront fares has been a rate cut. And I'm saying it is a rate cut. So go read that article as well. And along the way, you know, rate cuts are happening and Uber stock keeps going higher. And I don't see much changing over the next few months until May. You know, I only know, by the way, of this package that he has. I'm sure there are other executives who have option packages as well. And, you know, they're going to get it and they're going to hold the stock where it's at 120 billion market cap to get it. So there you go. That's my opinion on that.
Yep. Pretty coinciding of, you know, the last few months, and all of a sudden it's starting to get right up there, especially right after, you know, you see that widespread US rollout of upfront pay, and it kind of stays there until you start seeing some pay cuts, and then all of a sudden more pay cuts, and look where the stock price is right now. So yeah,
well, the more pay cuts, you know, the more pay cuts the drivers are getting, the higher the stock is going.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if I have to pay less while I'm collecting more, of course there's more profit that's going to be involved, and what does that directly tie to? So, I mean, couple that with any possible hike, or instead of Fed hikes, you know, if they start decreasing things, that's even going to help them out more. So
yeah, that's a good question, Sergio. How can you have a rate cut when we don't know what the rate is? To similar trips that you compare before the look. This is not, you know, by the way, this is not a rocket science. The way Professor Sherman did it in the article, he compared LA rates to what is being offered under upfront fares. All of you in all your cities, there's how many people, 400 people here. All of you should know what your rate card was before upfront fares. Mine in Los Angeles for 3 years before upfront fares was 60 cents a mile and 21 cents a minute. In fact, we talked about this with Chris on an episode. You know, we put up a whole bunch of cities with the rate cards. Remember, Chris? And we were shocked that some of them were under the IRS mileage deduction, like LA, right? And so at 60-21, it's pretty simple. So to answer your question, if there was a 10-mile, 30-minute trip in LA, I knew exactly what I was going to get paid, meaning 60 cents a mile for 10 miles is $6. 30 minutes at 21 cents is $6.20. So 6 plus 620, I was going to get $12.20. Well, with upfront fares for that trip, now you're getting $11.50. Well, that's a 50-70 cent haircut, right? That's how you're going to know. That's how we calculated all the screenshots. If you have a long trip, 30 miles and an hour, I knew exactly what I was going to get paid with a rate card. And you can compare it, right? You can compare a trip you receive right now while you're sitting in the car, 10-mile, half-hour trip, and dig out your rate cards previous to upfront fares, and you can figure out if you're getting a rate card or not. That's how you figure it out.
Yeah, and if you want to search for it, there was Reddit. I think that's where we got ours from when we were doing that. Just basically do a Google search that says Uber rates or Lyft rates in your area, and I think it was one of the first few when it came to a Reddit post. I think it was like within the first 3. So you can check those out. It's still going to be up there because it's a few years old, but it was pretty accurate in terms of how updated it was. So that's where you'd be able to compare your particular market from. And then Lyft, on the other hand, they still have the rate card in their app. So whether you choose to believe it or not, they still have the rate card there. So if you're driving Lyft, you can actually go in there and see your particular rate card. And Uber was usually within a few cents, not too much different when it came to it.
Lyft rate card right now in LA that they're showing on my app, which they shouldn't be because there is no rate card according to upfront fares, is 80 cents a mile and 13 cents a minute. Okay. and Uber's was 60 cents a mile and 21 cents a minute before upfront fares. And that's why it's so easy to figure out if you're doing a long trip, how badly you're getting screwed under upfront fares. You're getting 20-30% haircut. I mean, all you have to do is take the times,
what
you
we
know,
need to do, I think
it's
what we
not that
need to
hard.
do, because we have that chart, I think what we
Yeah.
have to do is we got to say, how bad are we getting screwed? And have a new little segment that comes out, not just couple it with cash or trash, and then say, all right, how bad are we getting bent over? And go through the differences
Can
between
do it.
what we're getting paid on upfront fares versus the rate card in that particular area. So
Yeah.
as long as we can find that area, depending on what
No,
it
you
is,
don't
'cause
have to
sometimes you have
look.
a
I
couple of
mean,
streets
Chris,
you're
you
like,
don't even have to drive. You don't even have to drive, right? Just go out there, turn your phone on, take screenshots of pings, and then convert it to your rate card that you had before upfront fares, and you'll know how much
Oh, yeah.
less you're going to get paid for this exact same trip. I'm like, it's very simple to do. So.
But I think we should have some crowdsourcing where guys and gals go out and do that. Send us what it is comparative to what your
Yeah.
old historic rate card would be in your area. How much are you getting paid? Is it over? Is it under? By how much? And
We love
we'd like to see that.
spreadsheets.
So I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of them going under what we used to get paid with a rate card comparatively. So yeah, send it to Sergio, and maybe we'll send we'll start
Don't
highlighting
send it
some
like
of
blank
those.
like that. I'm not going to do the spreadsheet. Do your own spreadsheet. Send me the spreadsheet, and I'll put it up. But I have my
Yeah,
look. I've done this a million times. It's really not that hard. Just put 60-21, which was my rate, and then when you finish the trip, just look at the time and distance, because that's period 3. That's what you're getting paid for. You're not getting paid to go on period 2 to pick up the passenger anyway. So that doesn't include. It's not included in there. It's pretty simple: 60-21 in LA, and or 80-12 or 80-13 on Lyft, and do
yeah,
it.
and then add additional bonuses. Don't combine it into one. So if you see a plus 15 surge, don't roll it into the total price. Roll it on top of what you would have gotten paid, because
Oh,
you'll
absolutely.
see
That's in the
a huge
article too.
there.
That's in the
Yep.
article.
Mhm.
It was like, you know what else is in the article, Mr. Gambit? Are you here? Yeah, you're here. Your $1 base fare screenshot is in the article. It's in Forbes, so you made it to the big time, Mr. Gambit.
And I believe what I saw was it was a 4-mile trip. So if you
Yep.
break it down, that's 25 cents per mile
Yeah,
that
you got paid 20,
they're
but
compensating because of that.
there was a $20 pickup fee and a surge. So for 4 miles, look, on that situation, the passenger was charged 40. This is all in the article. Please go check it out. Passenger paid $40 for 4 miles, Chris. That's $10 a mile.
Whew, and you
Okay.
got paid 25
Cabs charge
cents.
$2.75 a mile.
Yeah. There's
And
definitely
Mr.
a little pricing problem there when it comes to,
Yeah,
but
a
it
little
also
bit, yeah.
it also
But
breaks
Mr.
down the
Gambit,
algorithms too.
Mr.
That's
Gambit came out
exactly what
like
it
a
does. It breaks
gangster.
down both algos. What?
Yeah, I mean, he came out good. He made 23 and change on that trip, right? A great trip for him. But if you look at this trip that he took on previous to upfront fares, right? For a 4-mile, 15-minute trip, that base fare probably would have been $5-6, right? Plus the surge, plus the pickup fee. Instead of 23, he probably would have made 28 to 30. Uber is still going to charge 40. They still made whatever they made. But Uber is making more now with upfront fares, right? And then when the first article came out, they go, boo hoo hoo, we're not making that much money. I mean, look, under upfront fares, their take rate is higher. They're making more money, and that's why the stock is at 63. I mean, hey, that's not.
Well,
I mean,
that's why that
proof is in the
chart
pudding.
is going skyrocketing right now. But
Yeah.
I think the big thing is it looks doom and gloom right now. Looking at it from this point, and seeing these charts and knowing that $50 million bonus is on the line for just a couple more months, and if you don't hit it, you're losing some. So I think the question though that we need to talk about is what can drivers do in order to kind of offset things like this, or what can we look forward to, or what can we look at? We've kind of discussed this already, the past several weeks when it comes to, trying to do grassroots movements within cities, trying to get drivers on board that are going to be, local, and they're going to be in your area. And then that way you have a larger voice, and that way you're able to go to legislators and talk to them and say, hey, look, this is what worked in Seattle. This is what worked in Washington. This is what worked in New York City. This is what's going on in Chicago and Minneapolis and all these places. And this is, what we're trying to fight for. This is what we're looking at. And, you do that grassroots movement, and then you can start seeing certain changes and bringing it back where you can have that comprehensive pay structure that Dan was talking about earlier today when it comes to that. And I think that's something that we can really work on, bringing all that. But what were you about to say?
I agree. I agree with all these suggestions. Control expenses. Don't go out there and buy a new car to do rideshare. Don't be nuts. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, even if you're buying gas at 10 cents cheaper, that's variable cost. It's going to make a difference in your bottom line. You'll have to really pinch your pennies now, because the orders I was getting this weekend when I was driving is ridiculous. I mean, but ultimately, look, it's a wonderful article. I want to thank Len for doing us driver community a great favor. Another one. It's long, but it's worthwhile. Just, take out a little popcorn and pop a beer and read it. It'll take you at least 10, 12 probably minutes to read it. All your screenshots, people. I'm telling you, this article's, look, you all are in Forbes. I don't care. I get quoted enough in all these bullshit things and articles and magazines. It's not about me. You all are made. You made this happen. I mean, without your screenshots, we couldn't put this article together. And over the last year and a half, we're doing Show Me the Money. I mean, I'm humbled. I mean, without you guys, this wouldn't have happened. So, and Len just put voice behind all of your concerns, and let's thank him. Hopefully down the road we'll have him on again. But yeah, it's a great article. Link in the show notes. Please go read it, and please share it. This must be read by everybody, and it may be read by a legislature. It may be read by a class action attorney. I mean, look, there are a lot of things wrong with the system that we have, and I think we need to fight together, and we can make it happen. And our voices are getting louder. I mean, think, Chris, year and a half ago, driver screenshots in a Forbes article. How's that? Not going to happen, So, I mean, it is happening. So let's keep going.
All right, Creekside. Couple of things here. First off, keep emailing. Send letters too, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We've seen that time and time again. So keep doing it. And then the other thing is, go to drivers in your area. Go to the airport queue. Go to
100%.
where drivers are hanging out. Talk to them. Have them send the same type of email, the same type of letter. That's the way that people are going to start seeing it more and more. It may seem like it's a losing battle if it's just you, but if you start getting 2 people, if you get 3 people, if you get 10 people, 15 people, all sending the same to the same people, now they're going to have to start looking at it. Now they're going to have to start realizing, oh, this is something that people are going to. Why do you think a lot of these activist groups are getting the play that they get? And they may have 50 to 100 people. Why? Because they have 50 or 100 that are doing thousands upon thousands of emails and all of these different things that are going on, whether it's letters or phone calls or whatever. They're making them listen by doing something like that. So that's really kind of what you have to do in order to make some of these people listen, because they're probably getting inundated with a lot of other stuff as well too. It's not just you emailing or calling. So that's why you got to keep doing it. So then when they do see it, they're going to, it's going to continue in their head. But then when they start seeing it from other people that are in your area as well too, then they're going to start looking at it more. So those types of things are what you need to do. Other drivers don't want to hear, William. You know what? Here's the thing. It's the way you approach them. You got to come up with a certain approach that's going to work. And if you approach them in approach A and B and C, and you don't get anywhere, you got to start trying approach D, E, and F. Who knows? Maybe it's going to take approach M before you actually get somebody. And it's just turning over the cards, it's turning over the rocks, because you're going to find people who are going to be disgruntled. And all you have to do is find. One of the biggest things is pain. Most people react to pain, and especially when it comes to money. The biggest thing is you could go up to somebody at the airport and say, hey, are you kind of getting sick and tired of what people are, or what we're getting paid? Inflation's going up, all of this thing. Or talk to them as a conversation, kind of feel them out, find their pain, once you find their pain, it's probably going to come down to pay. It's probably going to be coming down to having to work too much, those types of things. Once you get that, that's how they're going to be a lot more receptive of what you're trying to talk and what you're trying to do. A lot of the times, yeah, they might try to just, shut you out, but it's also the approach that you're taking. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a sales position. You gotta try to
I mean,
persuade them, but you have to find out what their need is and then fulfill that need in order to
but,
be able
but
to.
Chris, how did they do it in Seattle? It started with a grassroots movement. How did they
Yep.
do it? How are they doing it now in Chicago? How are they doing it in Minneapolis now? Look, we're going to have these people on next week. We had the Seattle people on about 6-8 months ago. We asked them, how do you do? Give us your playbook so we can do it in different cities. Malda, Minnesota Uber and Lyft Drivers Association President Eid Ali is going to be on the show. We will ask them, what is your playbook? So let's just attack the city by city, applying their playbook, because they're having success. If it's having success in Minneapolis, if it has success in New York City, if it's having, and all you have to do also, you have to understand that you have to make these legislatures understand a city council is a small group of people, few thousand votes. And if a lot of rideshare drivers are in the city council people's constituencies, you have to make them understand, we can kick you out of office. We don't need a national election to get you kicked out of office. And we're going to put, as rideshare drivers, like they're doing now in Minneapolis, you guys will hear next week, they're putting friendly city councilor in the city council to pass their own ordinance. Yes, it's a fight, but I can't do it. Chris can't do it on our own, but as a community, we can do it. You gotta be the leader in your community. You gotta approach drivers. You gotta approach legislatures untiringly. You gotta keep at it. Yep. Otherwise, they're going to bend us over. They're bending us over now. I mean, I don't like getting bent over.
Another thing, if they're not listening, if they're not paying attention, run against them.
Yeah.
Nobody said you can't.
Or support people who are friendly to our cause and support those people.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of options. It's just a lot of people will not do it. Reality is you will not do it.
Persistence. You got to be persistent.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the reality is most people, if I told everybody here, 300 and something people watching right now, go to your local airport, start talking to drivers, make that grassroots movement, I guarantee you 95% of you will not take a step.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Are you pissed off enough or no? The reality is clearly you're not, because if you were, you would actually go out and do something. That's the reality of it. You're not feeling enough pain. You want change, or do you want to get shitted on all day long, all the time, every time you see a ride request coming in that's complete garbage, and you still take it because of whatever reason?
Yeah. No, I think
your pain, man.
Yeah, city by city, complaining is not going to do shit. City by city, state by state, and all we want to do is have a seat at the table, because these people will come to the table, and when they're forced, and the only time they do it is when they're forced. They were forced in Seattle. They're going to be forced in Minneapolis.
That's an excuse. That's an excuse. That's bullshit. That's an excuse. You're talking about the corruption. Come on. I mean, they did it in Seattle. They did it in Washington. They did it in New York. They're doing it in other places. Yeah, there's a lot that's stacked up against you. But the reality is you need to get out there. You need to do something. And you know what? The people who say, I'm not taking no for an answer, are the ones who are going to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be persistent. And look, if you want to look, I mean, if you're doing rideshare for 8 months, yeah, you're probably not. But if you're going to do rideshare for a while and you want to live with these conditions of $2.73 minimum fare trips in LA, I can't do anything in LA and California. I wish I could. Well, I have Prop 22, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm willing to support each and every one of you. If you guys go to your counselors, if you guys put a group together, we'll do Zoom calls. We'll talk about it. We'll have a game plan. We'll give you the playbook. But you guys need to do some legwork on your own. You can't just say, well, Serge, come on, let's do it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not in Chicago. I'm not in, wherever that you guys want to. Like, I had a wonderful email today from Georgia. The guy goes, you guys have a massive platform. You guys should do a national union, blah, blah. I go, first of all, we cannot unionize. We're independent contractors. Number two, you can have your non-traditional unions like WDU or Malda. They're not your true Teamsters or SEIUs. They're not your traditional unions, but they all started somewhere. In Washington State, few drivers got together at the airport, and then it grew, and then it grew, and then it grew. Look at what they have. They have dollar. By the way, we're misquoting the Seattle rates, Chris. They had an inflation adjustment again. Now they're at $1.55 and 68 cents a minute, as opposed to $1.50 and 64. These things are possible. You guys need to do some legwork. You can open your mouth and say, feed me. Like, no, it's not going to happen that way. But yeah, so next week, please tune in. Come back. Malda is going to be on.
The only way you're going to get the change you want is you have to be active in it. Indy, awesome. You're vocal in your community. That's great. That means you probably have some personal relationships there, and you're able to leverage that. So that's a real possibility. Those sorts of things. City council. You see, I honestly, I wouldn't want it. I don't want it. I mean, I'd love to make different changes and stuff. A friend of mine actually just ran for city council in a small city, or I mean, a small town that's well outside the city of Buffalo. But I mean, that's the beginning. So it's like, okay, well, she's got somewhere, and now there's certain points. Her and I get together for Cards Against Humanity, every couple of months or so. And you can leverage those types of relationships. Granted, that's one small little town, but who does she know that you can start turning the cards over to? And that's what you got to kind of do when it comes down to
it. So anyway, but next week, please come back. Tune in. Malda, hopefully Senator Fatah. I mean, he's a senator in Minnesota, and he's very friendly to the driver group. Look, they're going to pass this ordinances on the 31st. So next 2 weeks, I'm just going to blast email anybody and everybody I know in Minneapolis. Well, our Joe is in Minneapolis. He actually the one that set us up with Malda. And I'm like, look, I want all these voices out. If 10,000 people watch it, 1,000 are Minneapolis, and then it can go affect the Minneapolis law. Hey, man, go for it. Yep, there you go. I couldn't have said it better. Okay, we'll finish the segment on this one right there. That's as good as I can say it.
All right. And with that being said, we had Dan on talking about the 330 plus page of ruling. I don't know why they need 338 pages worth of crap, but it's government crap and filler and junk and all this other stuff that's rolled into it. So the reality is, comes down. Do you want to be an independent contractor? Do you want to be an employee? So we had a poll recently, and the sentiment still is the majority of drivers want to remain independent contractor.
This is one area that we're agreeing with the companies. only one. This is the only area we're agreeing with the companies, because this is what the companies are saying. This is what Uber and Lyft says. We want you to all stay independent contractors. And 85% of 2,300 votes so far said, 85%, I mean, that's massive, overwhelming majority, said we want to stay independent contractors. So we're basically agreeing with the companies only on this subject right here. For one reason or another, you all want to stay independent contractors. Okay, fine. Now, the other question
I just want to know, what would an employee, and nobody on chat, nobody can tell me what you think it's going to look like, because honestly, we just don't know. The reality is, it does not have to be scheduling.
Chris, we had Alto on. Remember a few weeks ago?
No, I know. Those are.
Put the Alto shirt on. Put the Alto shirt on. Put the Alto hat on, and you drive. That's it.
But does it have to look like that? Does it have to look like a traditional 9-to-5 job, or can it be something that's in between? That's what I want to know. Can it be a hybrid of something? I just want to know. Like, I like information. We like information, but we're so dismissive on, oh, no, nothing with employee. I get it. I don't want to be an employee either. I just want to see what it looks like, what it would actually look like from Uber to Lyft if you were made into an employee. If that 339-page ruling came out and said, hey, guess what, Uber, Lyft, you are now employees, not independent contractors for your driving force. And you have until March 11th to change that, or you're going to start getting fined. Something like that. If that was the ruling that truly came out, and this was, let's just say it was a court system and everything was upheld, and they have to now, what would that truly look like? That's what I want to know. I want to know what it would look like. Well, and then I can base a better decision. Right now, it's the fear of what an employee would look like based on what we think of it as currently. And you're right. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be anything near that, because I want to be able to go on and off when I want. Or, if I want to take the day off because, hey, we got 3 feet of snow and they're telling me, oh no, you got to go work. Well, we're going to have a little disconnect here. So there's those types of things. But the reality is there's so much overstep when it comes to them controlling what you are doing and when you can go out and those types of things, that it's a guiding hand that they're telling you what you can and cannot do. And they're gaming it, they're gamifying it. We've talked about this, and they're putting so much complexity into it. The reality is, I mean, we're already employees. We're just not getting any of the benefits for it.
I mean, look, but this is a new industry, okay? App-based work is only 10 years old, Chris. We think it's like decades, but it's not. There are no laws. Well, actually, it's a great question you raised because we don't know. I mean, this is brand new industry. 10 years is nothing compared to the steel industry, airline industry, auto industry. That's established stuff. The rules are being written as we go along. You know what I'm saying? And this only thing is we're agreeing with these companies. That's it. And then on the next question, which shows the contradiction in people, right? 2,000 votes. Do you consider yourself to be a true independent contractor, like my buddy who was an air conditioning installer and contractor? He's an independent contractor. And the way he works versus the way I work is completely day and night. He shows up at a job, he bids for the job, commercial or residential. He either gets the job or doesn't get the job, he goes to the next one. You know what I'm saying? If you bid too high, you're not going to get the job. But in our world, in the rideshare world, our community is saying, no, we're not. And I agree 100%. Thank you, William. We have more news coming up on InDrive, so you guys got to stay tuned. So, yeah, I agree 100%. You know, when as an independent contractor, if I cannot name the price of the job or even bid on a job or even do whatever. Now, yes, we can decline trips that we don't like. Great. But what are the repercussions? Like we're going to show you on Lyft, they put you on timeouts. They treat you like an employee, but then when the bill fits them, they want you to be an independent contractor. Have the cake, eat it too. That needs to end. And that's when legislation comes into play. So no, I agree. And I'm like, that's the contradiction. Yes, we want to stay independent, but we don't want to stay independent the way we are now. Okay, I get it. Well, in order for that to happen, people, you need legislation, because otherwise these companies are not just going to come and tell you, oh, you can name the price of the trip. You can, do whatever. And with the algorithm, Chris, it's in the article. It's like really, really poignant that Len made that point. If I don't accept the garbage, my utilization rate tanks. So I'm in between a hard place and a rock. And if I do accept the garbage, then my hourly rate tanks. You know what I'm saying? I'm like in this like
weird flex,
hard place and a rock. If I don't accept, my UR tanks, and I'm just sitting there watching YouTube, twiddling my fingers. And if I do accept the $3 garbage trip, then my hourly tanks to like $15 an hour. So it's like the way they set it up is a lose-lose situation. So.
Yep. So clearly things do have to change and need to. But not only just legislation, but there's probably got to be a couple of high-profile lawsuits and court cases and decisions that need to be made in order for certain changes and differences to be made as well too. So that's another side of the coin as well too, especially when it comes to some of these misclassification suits that can come about. So those types of things could be a potential. It just depends on how far you want to go. So.
Okay, let me answer that quick question because I've been asked that so many times now. Okay, first of all, it's not a strike. You cannot strike. You're an independent contractor, number one. But I have been in touch with the professor. We actually did a half-hour conversation that we're going to put up right before the protest. It's not a strike. You cannot strike. If you get 100,000 people, bro, I'll be right in front of that crowd. Get me 100,000 people out of 4 million people. You cannot strike. But we're going to have our conversation about that next week with Chris. And Chris, actually, it's Chris's idea. I think it's going to be a lot more effective than turning the app off because, strikes don't work. What works, but and without giving up too much, there is a lot more coming up with Thorsten that we've been in communication with. I do support a protest. If it works, great. What is the protest going to do? Yeah, I'm going to put all my power behind getting my journalist friends, notifying them, and giving you guys a push as hard as I can. Yes, it gets media attention, and then it goes away. But his program, Thorsten's program, and he's not calling it a strike either. It's a protest. Keep doing these things. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's how Malta got where they got to. See, this weekend they were protesting at the airport. Okay, it's a protest, civil, non-violent. Get your voices out. Well, we have the media with us now. Now we can get our voices out more often. More important subjects, right? But strike, you guys stay tuned. That'll be a lot more news coming up on that.
Yep.
So,
and then one other thing I'm going to say before, and not giving away the other thing, but one of the other things, don't just go to the airport, because most of the time it's just a waiting lot, and not a lot of drivers go to the lots. Go to your main
LA they do.
Well, at LA maybe, but I'm talking about
500 of them.
LA is a much bigger area than just LAX. So, but reality is, no matter what, if you're in the staging lot, or if you're, going around, you're only going to get the people that are there at the time. What about the people that are actually living in your community? And those people are, they're driving to and from work. So the biggest thing is, why not hold some signs up during rush hour on the busiest streets around? If you get a bunch of people doing that at different intersections and all holding signs about Uber, that's going to start also creating some what is going on out there, and what are these people protesting, or that. You're going to get a lot more intrigue and interest when it comes to people understanding and knowing what it is. So that's another side of the coin.
Well, next week also, I'm gonna, we need to also change a little tactics, right? We need to talk about passenger education more than driver education, because look, there's only 3 million drivers in the US on Uber and Lyft, and there's 142 million passengers. So which one is it? And which one is the one that's permanent? The passenger, because the driver community is transitory. They work for 8 months, they go. They work for 8 months and they go, you can't even catch up to them. By the time you catch up to them and try to teach them what to do, they're already gone. But the passenger is the permanent part of this equation, and I think that's what we need to do in a much bigger fashion, much better way. And who's the best mouthpiece for that? The driver. You have 20 people, different people in the car. I mean, we're gonna, we have some plans about how to educate the passenger, and I'm pretty sure out of half 50% out of 142 million have a heart, and I think they will understand. So,
see, another excuse, Craig, small towns might not have rush hours as a city will, or that type of thing. They do have main streets.
Yeah, if you look, you can come up with a list of excuses, bro. Like,
come on, you want to keep shooting these excuses? I will bury you all when you come up with these excuses, because for every objection you say, I'll find a workaround on it. Well, so right, you're not gonna allow that to happen.
There is a will, there is a way.
You don't have a rush hour, but you got a main street.
Yeah, there is a will, there is a way, bro.
I mean, that you got whatever is local that most locals go to. You want to raise the points there. I mean, come on, start.
Palm Springs is very near me, bro. Palm Springs has got busy area of town. There's no rush hour, but I know exactly what happens there. You have party people, you have late nights. Palm Springs could be hopping, especially now, seasonality is pretty good at Palm Springs. So I don't know, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Indian Wells, there you have a lot of stuff to do there. So.
Well, you know what? It's not about talking down to the audience. It's about pissing you off enough to get off your ass and do something. That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, geez,
I want to.
Anyway,
I mean, the reality is, you have to get pissed off in order to do something. That's the reality of something. If you're not pissed off, you're not going to do anything, because you're just living comfortably miserable. That's the way it is. That's reality. And if you need the Band-Aid to come off, you need the Band-Aid to come off.
Let's talk about my comfortably miserable situation this week. All right, people. I was swimming in cash.
You were an ant, weren't you?
Bro, let me tell you something. I actually, towards the end, I was relaxed. After the first 3, 4, 5 takes, the first one, $3.33 or 35-cent Uber X shared trip, Chris. I was like, Sunshine Man, I was cussing you out. Are you here, Sunshine Man? Jeff, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, who has a 99% acceptance rate. Okay, so we put out this video. This video with all my results is on the channel. It's already got 28, 30,000 views in a day. So this is what I did. My experiment was be like Jeff, accept everything. Let's see what I can do if I accept everything. In 8 years of my existence as an Uber driver, I had never done that, ever, ever. But I go, you know what? Maybe there's a point to that, because there's no incentives. There's no surge. On a Saturday, okay, weekend, peak hours, I'm working. There's no surge in LA. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I'd rather sit on my ass at home and watch YouTube as opposed to sit in the car and watch YouTube, okay? So anyway, I went out. It took me 2 days to do, because I swear to God, there's so many cars out there, Chris, even in LA, I couldn't get 20 pings in one day. And I took it all of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. And here are the results. $171.60 on Saturday, $65.02 on Sunday. 9 hours almost online plus the Sunday. So I was online 11 hours. I was active for 7.25. So that's running about 65-70% utilization rate. If you look at active hour numbers, Chris, guess what I hit? 32.
Mhm.
Guess what the CEOs are saying? 32. That's active hour.
Oh,
That's active hour. But if you look at my online hour in 11 hours, after taking 20 trips in a row, my online hour was $21.50, almost $22. That includes incentives and tips. I had a 24/15 quest, which I finished, obviously, and I had tips. So $21 to $22. I figure my cost for my car, which is a 2021 Hyundai, is $5 an hour, inclusive of gas, depreciation, maintenance, insurance, all of it. So at $5 an hour, Chris, if you deduct $5 from 21.5 that I was out there, 11 hours, online hours, I'm at 16.5. Okay. Now, what can I do in LA for 16.5 or more? And in LA County, minimum wage is $16.70 in 2024. So I'm right at minimum wage, a tad below. Can I go flip burgers for 20? Absolutely, I can. So taking 20 in a row, these are the results. And on the right-hand side is my summary, weekly summary. We're going to discuss this next week because we're running over already. I was going to put that up next week and say, what is my take rate? What is Uber's take rate last week? According to Uber's take rate on me, on these 20 trips was 2%. It's right there, okay? I'm not buying that. I think it was 37%, and I kept 63%. And yeah, so these are my results. I took 20 in a row. I took one for the team, and I survived, and it was fun. And at the end, I was like, okay, whatever, I give up. I was just hoping, Chris, that they don't send me to Tijuana or some shit, right? To the Mexican border, San Diego, after Dead Mile. I drove only 180 miles,
were
$1.40
you
a mile.
actually going to take all of those, even if they came in?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Ooh.
But I did go quite. I drove 180 miles, all miles, dead miles, period 1, period 2, period 3 miles. I just made up my mind. So I'm going to keep doing these experiments. Next week, I'm going to drive my way. Now, there is no surge in LA, period. They have killed it. It's all gray clouds, Chris, okay? Saturday, 6 p.m., I'm out there. People are going out, nice weather, no surge. When there's no surge, when there's no cherries to pick, what am I supposed to pick? Might as well accept trips and make some money and go home. And that may be the thing going forward, because if there's no surge, how am I supposed to cherry pick, right? And now you guys may want to do a hybrid thing, accept trips, make your money, and then when the surge kicks in, then become a cherry picker. But other than that, 20 in a row is not a big deal. But now I'm going to do 20 my way. Even without surge, I'm going to cherry pick. Let's see if I can improve that 21.5 to maybe 23 to 25. And then next week, I'm going to do Lyft 20 in a row, and then put those numbers up. So I'm enjoying these little experiments that are, it didn't
Good.
kill
I'm
me.
glad. I've been waiting for you to do something like this for a little while now, just to see. But the reality, I mean,
yeah, man, yeah.
The reality is, they killed it. I mean, we had a snowstorm move in. I think a lot of people heard about that, because if you watch football, you know that the Bills game was delayed a day, 27 hours to be exact, and that was because of the snow. And yeah, I mean, we're right in the path, and it was definitely something where it had to have happened, because there was no way that people would have been able to get to the game safely. the teams, any of that. So it was good that they did postpone it. But yeah, I mean, when you get 3 feet of snow falling in the matter of, 15, 18, 25 hours, depending on, how long the snow band was. But the reality is once it started and the snow band started kicking in, that was when I started turning on the app to look, and there was barely any surge. And this was prior to them doing a
No
travel
surge, right?
ban. They did an entire county wide travel ban starting at 9 a.m. or I'm sorry, 9 p.m. Of that day. And this was, 6:30. I'm looking at 7:30, 8 o'clock when the snow is already starting to kick in. People are already doing it. And there was like no surge. There was like, I think the highest I saw was like $4. It's like,
I want to
there's
know how you do
probably-
that, Kevin Underwood. He goes, I cherry pick, no surge. Okay, I know. I mean, look, I was watching every ping like a hawk. There were a couple of trips in there, Chris, that I would have never taken. Okay, never. But then I go, hey man, I'm gonna take 20 in a row. And then I was just in the city, and Algo sends me right back to where I came from, literally. And I was like, fuck. And that's when I spent an hour and a half waiting for a ping. I even took a trip radar trip just to get the hell out of the hellhole because there were no pings. So it sent me to the city. I did some trips in the city and then boom, right back and sent me back. I'm like, God damn it. I go, I knew it. But I go, you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. And I finished it. And that was it.
Yeah.
But the video is on the on the channel. Go watch it. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty crazy though. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about something else that's going on. Oh yeah, okay. Let's talk about what Lyft is doing. We talked about independent contractor versus employee. Why is Lyft treating drivers as employees with timeouts and sending them nasty emails because you as a driver are canceling for a reason that is within TOS? We've talked about this already
Many times.
and we've broken down the TOS and showed the reasons why canceling is happening and the reasons that you can cancel perfectly fine without having problems, but you're still getting thrown in a timeout. You're still getting nasty emails. What the hell's going on?
I sent all this to Lyft. You know who you are at Lyft, and they go, we're definitely moving this up. Look, we talked about this. We talked about my situation with cancellation rehab school. For some reason, if your cancellation, Chris, their threshold is 5%. If it goes over 5%, you're getting the automatic email. Customers are having a bad experience, canceling too often, not driving towards your passenger. Bro, Lyft, Mr. Risher, this is a driver that's canceling according to the terms of service. Unaccompanied minor, no car seat, I don't feel safe. These are all in your TOS. If we cancel for those reasons, we shouldn't be put in a timeout. I am not in elementary school. There you go. The guy's timeout started at 30 minutes, 28 minutes to go. And I'm going like, this is hocus pocus bullshit of all bullshits. And here's this guy from Utah dealing with 2 foot of snow. The guy goes, I couldn't get to the passenger. What am I supposed to do? Just leave the app on and kill it? No. He goes, I canceled. And as soon as I canceled, I went over 5%. And there comes the email. Well, he goes, hi, Sergio. There's more evidence to show Lyft does not treat us drivers as independent contractors. I have over 300 rides and a 5.0 rating. Obviously, a new guy on top of that. My cancellation rate is 6%. Well, sir, you're above 5% threshold. That's why you got the threatening email. This has been going on for too long, Lyft. I mean, it happened to me almost over a year ago that I had to go to cancellation rehab school. A couple of nights ago, blizzard in Salt Lake. Snow was extreme, and the roads took 4 times as long to get anywhere. Well, you cancel. You can't get there. You're not going to kill yourself for a $10 trip. Plus, he was sending me screenshots that there is no surge in 1.5 feet of snow. And then he goes, Lyft suspended me for 29 minutes today and sent me an email saying that they will permanently deactivate me if I continue on like this. And if I may give a little shout out to our new show coming up called Crossfire. Boy, did we have a good Twitter battle with Harry on this subject. And please tune in. Crossfire is coming up. It's me and Harry, 2 topics, half hour. We're going at it. Luckily, we're not in the same room because he's going to tell me some corporate bougie bullshit. I'm pretty sure, Chris. He's going to get me going. He's going to get my fucking blood pressure up. And he's going to tell me some garbage but luckily we're not in the same room. So anyway, Lyft suspended this poor guy for 28 minutes and the threatening email. Are you guys still getting this? I sent this to Lyft. Lyft, this needs to end. Think about the morale of this driver after this. The guy is battling snow. It's unsafe. Cancel. What am I supposed to do? I can't get to the goddamn passenger. And then he goes, why doesn't Lyft offer safety reasons for why us drivers cancel? Actually, they do, but he wants a breakdown on the safety part. Like, you know, Chris, where it says, I don't feel safe. Because my problem was I wouldn't let a cussing crackhead in my car at like 6 in the morning. And that's when I went over 5%. And then I always have a check other. So when you check other, I guess the cancellation rate's going up. And then you're getting these threatening emails. Lyft, don't do this. This is going to be, honest to God, some lawyer is going to watch this shit and it's going to be a class action lawsuit. I swear to God, you can't do this. You can't have the cake and eat it too. And when the legislation comes for shit like this, you guys are going to cry, oh, no, we don't want employees. I'm like, well, you're treating this guy perfectly like an employee. A timeout for 30 minutes? Chris? In what world? Are we in elementary school? Timeout. You're in timeout. Go to the corner.
Thanks, Suleiman.
Thank you. So, yeah. Are you guys getting this still? I guess it's happening. And I'm not, look, I don't like this, David Risher. This needs to end. That's it. You know?
Oh, yeah. So, but not only that, we have a conversation from Lyft and support. We all know how support likes to go.
That's all you. Yeah, that's all you. Yeah.
Oh, what do you want me to read? The whole thing?
I can see the screen. Just read what kind of garbage support is saying, bro. You know, I don't know where it is, but I was like reading this, and I got this like today or yesterday. I was reading this, and like my mouth was on the floor, and I sent this to Lyft too. You know who you are. This and there is contradiction of contradictions in here from a support agent at Lyft. This is not an AI bot. You can tell it's not an AI bot, Chris. And you go ahead, right ahead, buddy. I know. Find the important part where it says, I think, you know,
how about because there's 14
14 of them?
Did you instead of reading all of it, how about we just summarize it? And if people want to read it, they can. Just to make it a little quicker and easier.
Okay, so towards the end. Okay, go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Hold on.
And towards the end, I'll take a look at. Okay, there you go. He circled it. Thank you for the information. Okay, I can't read this. My glasses are not helping me read that.
Hold on. I'll read what it is. I'll read 6 and 7 because the ones are highlighted, but it just will set up a little bit more. So said I checked the email. It says I contacted the rider after accepting the request, leading them to cancel. I only contact riders to give them my name and my estimated time of arrival. I have never contacted a rider and asked them to cancel. The email also says I am canceling too often. My cancellation rate is at 1% or less, and my account rating is 96%. How could this be considering canceling too often? Thank you for that information. Thank you for that information that the cause of the warning was canceling too often. Looking deeper at your ride history, it appears that we have consecutive Mrs. Ride request. And yes, it says Mrs. Ride request.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I know, right? And then it says to prevent this from happening again, we advise to follow our cancellation policy and to improve or maintain your 5-star rating. But here's the thing. He's got less than 1%. And if it was the right reason on why you cancel, you don't get it. So there you go. Check the tutorial tab and driver dashboard by clicking there. And then he says, what is a Mrs. Ride request? Does that mean I decline a ride request? Missed those rides that are not accepted. While I'm unable to override the warning notice, Lawrence, we'll definitely look into your feedback as we continuously work to make Lyft better.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It's been going on for a year and a half, man. How much better is it going to get? It happened to me. It started with like we've been putting these up, David, Richard, for like a year and a half now. It's time to end this nonsense. Okay.
And
I
then
know it's
here's
all
the other
cut
one.
and paste, whatever it is, but it's end this nonsense. This is bullshit. And then there's the end. There's the beauty part right there.
And then he says, I decline rides where the pay is not enough to cover my expense of the operating my car and making me money. If Lyft would pay me appropriately on every ride, my acceptance rate would be 100%. I concur. I might say 95% or higher just because you may get the occasional whoopsies. But yeah, mine would be sky high too. But and then support says, however, if you are canceling the ride too often, yes, it will trigger a system, which is why you receive the warning notice. We do not tolerate this kind of behavior on our platform. I mean, hold on, let me read it as they said it. We do not tolerate this kind of behavior on our platform. Please check the email we sent for more details. If you have other concerns, let me know. I'll be happier to assist you.
That when we're independent contractors, we don't tolerate not accepting trips and canceling trips. We don't tolerate, even if it's a safety reason that we put in our TOS. We don't tolerate it.
Right.
Oh, go suck it. Yeah. And you know, this poor guy. I mean, how much time do you think this took, Chris? 14 pages.
Well, I can tell you right now here, the first one
yeah, look at the first,
was
look at
from
the first
12:37 a.m. And then the last one was at 1:16 a.m. So an hour.
An hour-ish.
Almost.
Yeah.
No,
half hour,
40 minutes.
40 minutes. So this guy spent 40 minutes of his life arguing with this moron who can hardly spell.
Not getting paid.
It's stupid, bro. This is so stupid. It ruins everything, bro. You know, it ruins my like attitude. After this, if this guy did a Lyft trip, what do you think? That next passenger got a foot massage? I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing. First off,
Stop it.
You know what you're getting paid. So just don't accept the ride if you don't want to take it. Just let it pass. Decline it from coming in.
It says you can't decline trips.
I can decline anything I want.
Yeah,
and it says when you're I'll actually copy the TOS and I'll put it back into them. I'll be like, oh, what do you got to say about that? Because that's your TOS right there. That's your community guidelines back at you. Granted, they're all from the Philippines or from India, and they have no idea what really is going on because it's not really it's not a real worker of Lyft, or it's just some chatbot person who knows nothing.
3 months, David. 3 months. We have 3 months. This is I don't know. You got a lot to fix.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not laughable, bro, because they're going to deactivate that poor guy in Salt Lake. You know what I mean? They are. And I'm going to get an email. Oh, Sergio deactivated me. I go, okay, yeah, what am I supposed to do now? You know? Don't do it, people. Just treat us like human beings, like I said in Len's article. Respect us. Without us, without our cars, without our tears. There's another poor driver got killed yesterday, a Lyft driver in Phoenix. Without our blood, without our sweat, without our tears, you people will not get that $50 million bonus. And David, I know you have a deal like that with Lyft. Yours goes up to $1 billion, but Lyft stock has to go to $40 a share. And right about 12.5 now. Think about it, David. If the only way you're going to get that $1 billion is on the back of the driver, not kosher. You know what I mean? Just not. Stop this. This is nonsense. So anyway, yeah.
Well, speaking of Lyft and them trying to make changes, or in essence, just copying Uber, you know, there's something that I got the other day, and it was just before that blizzard, and it says, hey, I texted you it, whatever, I forget what it was, is like, you could come back and drive on the platform. It's busy right now, and you could earn up to $21 an hour. And I'm just like, oh, great. So I click it because I actually wanted to take a screenshot, but no, it was just a friggin' notification on the app coming instead of the app. So when I open it up, it's just like, oh, you want to go online now? No, I wanted the freaking thing, but more and more people are getting this. So it's the exact same thing that Uber's doing. So Richard will come on, he'll say, well, you know what? We're sending out emails to let you know that when it's busy, you can go out there and make some money. And, you know, isn't that what we all really want?
Yeah, that's what we want. Thanks, Paul.
Paul, thank you for the super chat.
We're going to do something. I think usually, yep.
Oh,
Let's go suspension. Timeout. Go to the corner.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Bro, it's like, yeah.
Sorry to
So
hear, Paul.
this is like, let's get you back out there. Okay. Let me see what am I going to get out there for. You know, Uber. Okay. By the way, you know my list that I put up last week, Chris, or was it 2 weeks ago? You know, I'm up to 60 cities now. 60.
Ooh, good job,
60, bro.
everybody watching.
Thank you for the best crowdsourced database ever. So keep sending them to me. Sergio at the RideShareGuy.com. You know that Uber thing you guys get? But you know what's happening now? They're not putting numbers in, Chris. They're just saying between 7 and 10 a.m. it's busy. Get out there and drive. You know how it says you can earn median average was $18.
There's two reasons why.
They're omitting numbers.
One, because their numbers are getting so poor that it's not even really worth it to come out. And two,
bullshit.
They're like, shit, Sergio's tracking all this, and now they're really showing.
Too late. I got 60 cities and all the time slots. Too late. It's declining. Yep. Or I mean, look, I had actually this week, good news, Uber. Behold, there was one city that went up between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Sunday, Friday through Sunday. St. Louis went up to $29 an hour.
Was that because it was so cold?
I guess I don't know. But first uptick, Uber. See, it's all good. But I have the data already, and I'm gonna keep adding to the data. So Lyft is copying Uber. It goes between 12 a.m. Monday and 1 a.m. on Monday, and Sunday 10 p.m. It says business times for requests were Monday, blah blah blah, busiest time. And most drivers in New York, that's horrible, Lyft. If they just earned 20, this is New York State. Okay, never mind.
Most drivers. Well, no. This is most drivers in New York, not New York.
In York. Oh, sorry, my glasses are all in my face. In York. Where is York, by the way? Where is York?
It could be York, Pennsylvania. It could be York. I mean, it could be different areas. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming it's probably Pennsylvania.
All right, York, Pennsylvania. $21 last month, including tips and bonuses. Okay. So Lyft, I would not put this out there. 21 an hour, including tips and bonuses. So let's assume 10% was included, Lyft's bonuses and tips, 10%. Let's go minimal. So that will put you down to like 19 before expenses. I wouldn't advertise this Lyft because after taking $5, $6, whatever it is your costs are per hour, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's below minimum wage in that state. York, Pennsylvania. There you go. Do you guys know what minimum wage in Pennsylvania is, or York? Is it 15?
I'm going to say it's probably 11, but I have no idea.
Yeah, and then this is another one. The Lyft is $21. This is San Francisco. You know how bad that is for San Francisco, bro?
One of the most expensive places to live.
I started
You're earning 21 an hour.
21 an hour, including tips and bonuses in a city like San Francisco. It's a top 5 city, bro. I'm telling you. This is, and I'm pretty sure this is active hour, okay? I'm sorry, not active hour. This is online hour. But still, I mean, I'm going to earn 15, but how am I going to live in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities on the planet, for like after expenses for $15 an hour? I wouldn't be putting these out, Lyft. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be too proud of that unless you missed the 2 and it was a 3, maybe. Okay, we can talk about that. But yeah, these so I'm collecting Lyft too now. I'm gonna have a spreadsheet with Lyft. So if you guys see these on your apps, please send it.
Now they're doing it.
Sergio at the RideShareGuy.com. Please send it. Please send it. I want to build a database just like Uber.
Wow.
21, bro. 21.
No, it looks like somebody put 7 1/4. I don't know if that's true or not.
No, 7 1/4 is the federal one. I don't think Pennsylvania
PA minimum wage.
Okay, there you go. Let's see.
I'll look it up. There's this great thing called Google.
Yeah.
It's 15. Yep.
15. Yeah. Okay. So we're at minimum wage or a touch below. All right. Cool. Thumbs up. I work for a minimum wage this weekend. 11 hours online. Hey. Come to the desert. Well, yeah, I may come to the desert. Buy me dinner, Craig. Now we got an offer. I'm only like 110 miles from where you are. All right, so yeah.
All right.
where we
Well,
are.
before we move on to our next topic, we are opening it up to people who want to come on the show and play Cash or Trash. And we're going to be doing that segment after this segment. As you know, if you don't know, I'll tell you. Basically, we're going to have the
They know.
3 ride requests that we're going to show. 10 seconds for Uber, 15 seconds for Lyft. We're going to have 3 people come on, and we're going to see Cash or Trash and why. Would you take the ride? Would you not? And the reasons behind it. So the winner of that will also receive $25. And that will be based on our audience who will vote on the winner when it comes to our YouTube audience, because there's other people who are watching on other platforms. But when chat works, it works with the YouTube poll. So we're going to do it that way. And yeah, basically, we're going to take the first 3 people. If you have audio or video issues, more so audio problems, if there's any issue, we are going to have to disqualify you and take the next person. So if we have 6 people in queue, we're going to take the first 3. If there's less than 3 people, hey, you might have a good chance at winning then. So either way, check that out and you can come on. And then
Which one do you prefer, Chris? Uber or Lyft?
Uber or Lyft. In my area, I prefer Uber because it's busier. So that means I make more money.
I agree. I prefer Uber. I think their platform is a lot more stable. The app is a lot more stable. It's a lot better. The app is really, truly a lot better with the non-accidental discharge. Definitely Uber, but I'm gonna go take 20 in a row on Lyft. So let's see how that adventure goes.
Yep. I mean,
all right, 2 more people. Come on, let's go. We have like 300 people here. Let's go. 2 more of you. Where's Indigo? Indigo, why don't you come on? Play the game. Indigo.
All right. Well,
You'll
let's
give me cash, $25.
All right. Well, before we get on to that, let's before we do Cash or Trash, we have our segment. So it'll give time for people to come on. We already have somebody
All right,
in
come on down.
the back, so he's waiting patiently, I see. But we're going to do our segment and make sure you come on, and then we can play Cash or Trash. So the next thing we're going to be talking about, Sergio, speaking of more stable, what happens when Lyft is
Really?
not stable, and is there going to be another glitch?
Well,
What's
these are
going on?
two of my 20, Chris. These are mine. proudly displayed. These are
Uber
2 of my
shared.
20. Why are you laughing, bro? This is it.
Uber
We're down to this. What do you want? I took it. I took 2 Uber X shared trips, and I was praying to God that they don't get matched. I was like, I go, shit, the next one will take me to Foreverland. These are mine. Uber. I emailed you this already. You know who you are. Why is the P3 distance and duration not showing like Uber X and Uber Comfort and whatever else? I mean, it's missing. Is this something new? Plus, am I going to get the correct 1099? Because I picked up, I dropped off. I know this is at least 2-3 miles pick up, drop off combined. And I'm not sure how this works out in Uberland. Where is my time and distance for P3? Huh? No? Okay. So please fix this. This is irritating as shit. Because, and guess what, Chris? The first one, my first trip was the one on the left, 366. Picked up at one McDonald's, dropped off at another McDonald's.
Woohoo.
And I was like, what am I doing here, man? I'm taking 366 trips. And, but he was a nice kid. So long story short, Uber, please, we'll put the P3 there. Because the 1099 is all going to be messed up now. All messed up.
Oh, Will, thank you.
Will,
Chat.
Will must be swimming in cash with the wrap.
He's got to be.
Bro.
That right there is reason why you should probably take your Tesla Y and make it black, so you can sign up for black.
Well, why don't you come on, get your money back? Maybe you just. Oh no, Carlos came on. All right, Will, thank you. I'll chat with you later. So yeah, Uber, please fix this. I took these 2, Chris. If I had told you, Chris, I'm gonna go out and take Uber X shared trips for 366 and 352, what would you say?
I would have been like, what? I wouldn't believe it. And then now I do, because these are in your trip details now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And I, you know what? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna take it all. pull my hair out, get a stroke halfway through. I go like, no, I'm fine. I'm gonna take it, and I took it right there. So Uber, please put the time and distance on UberX shared trips. It's missing. I know you guys are gonna mess up my 1099. I'm pretty sure some drivers are doing a lot of these. Please fix this ASAP.
Rides, we had
Yes,
the
it is
CEO
legit.
on. We had the CEO on to talk. If you want to scroll
go
back,
check the
you
content.
can definitely look it up and see the interview with Ride CEO.
Yeah, we had the interview with the CEO of Steve, right? Of Rides. Yeah, they are legit. Yes.
Steve.
All right, one more. Come on.
We
All
got
right,
three.
Carlos. All right, we
All
got
right,
three.
so let's do our fun little game,
play the
cash
game.
or trash. Would you take the ride, yes or no, and why? We have Josh coming on. Josh, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good,
What's
how you
up,
doing?
Josh? What city?
And then-
How long?
Rochester, about 2 weeks. Just started after the first of the year. I think like 160 something trips right now.
Both
Ooh,
platforms?
right down the street.
Actually, I just signed up for Lyft today because of you guys. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Hey, there you go.
Right down the street. Did you get it? Did you get any of the snow?
Yeah, it was pretty bad out there. Actually, I dropped off at the stadium out there by you yesterday, and it was surging near the stadium. But like, if you can't move 2 blocks in 45 minutes, how many fares can you really take? So
Yeah.
I was kind of like out of there.
That's why I avoid the stadium. I mean, going to the stadium and dropping people off in the morning is fine, but I'll avoid the place like the plague afterwards because the way it's designed, it's so hard to get in and out of there.
Yeah, I dropped off and I was out. I came straight back for dinner.
Yep.
Back to the game. Okay, we'll chit chat with you because let's see what you learned from us in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Let's see.
If you're an AFU member or a CPU member.
Beard, how you doing?
Ooh,
doing good, thank you.
Santa Claus, what's up? What city? How many trips? How many years?
About 2 years on Uber, a year on Lyft.
And what city?
Part of the Boston market down on Cape Cod.
Ooh, good market, bro. Good market.
All right,
one of the
and
better
Carlos,
markets.
how you doing, Carlos?
What's up, Carlos?
Hello, hello.
We can hear
Big
you.
fan of the show. Could you guys hear me?
Yes. What are you driving? A Tesla?
Yeah, I've been watching you guys for like a year and a half since you guys started, and I appreciate you guys, doing what you do for the Uber drivers. I got over 15,000 trips in LA County.
Oh well, hey, we're gonna meet one of these days when I'm at LAX.
Yeah, I know, bro. Sherman Oaks, North Hollywood. I know all that. I know your area too.
Okay, cool. We're definitely gonna hook up. Send me an email, Sergio@RideShareGuy.com. All right, let's play the game.
Yep, we're gonna show Carlos. You might want to stop driving just so then you can.
Yeah, I'm pulling over right now.
Yeah, we don't want
Are
you
driving? Are you driving a Tesla?
Yeah, rental.
Oh yeah, you are. All right.
It's the Tesla rental.
Oh, you know what? I definitely want you to email me now. I want to see what you're doing out there. Sergio@RideShareGuy.com. All right. So we have
I gotta look my database, bro. I got it all.
We have a newbie. We have a 2-year kind of driver, and then we have a veteran. So let's see what happens. That's cool.
Awesome. So, yep, as it goes, I'm going to show you the screenshot. I think they're all, no, one's Lyft, two are, no, wait. Yeah, one's Uber, one's Lyft, and one's Uber. Okay, so Uber are 10 seconds, Lyft is 15 that you'll get. We're going to go in order. So Josh, the Beard, and then Carlos, cash, trash, why, and then we'll have our chat find out who the winner is, and you guys can win $25. Get ready for the first one right now.
I'm getting good ones.
All right, cash or trash? Josh, what would you say?
I'm probably gonna trash it just because of where it's gonna take me. It's gonna be well outside my area. I'll be deadheading back, and that's like even farther than Buffalo or Syracuse. It's looking like.
Okay. All right. Beard.
Cash. Even if I deadhead it back, that's still decent money.
Yep. Okay. And Carlos.
Yeah, cash. If I were to live in LA, it's pretty much taking me home.
Oh, really? Cool. All right. So, what was that? 175 or 173 for an hour and what? 44?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm telling you,
yeah,
yeah, that's a good trip. Anyway,
not
but
bad.
I'm not going to. So 1 trash, 2 cash. All right, let's go. To
all
the
right.
next.
Our next one.
See, that's worse than the first one. I would have took the first one over that.
So you're going to say
But
trash.
see, I'll probably even take that.
Okay. This is like a veteran, 2-week veteran right here. All right. Trash, you're saying? Josh?
Yeah, I'm saying cash.
Cash. Okay. How about you, Beard?
Cash, even though it's not as good as the first one, it's still a decent ride, even with the
Okay.
deadhead back.
$100 is a lot of money, bro. Okay. How about you, Carlos?
Yeah, considering how LA County is right now, I'll take that. You know, it's dry enough to take that.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 cashes on that one. What aim? They're all over the place. They're in your city too. Okay. So now last one.
All right. One more.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh.
Cash or trash, Josh?
I'll trash that.
You trash that? Okay. Why do you trash that?
I was trying to get a good look at it and I messed my screen up, but before I looked at it, it looked like it was like well over an hour for like 60, right?
Oh, we're gonna put it back up. You want to put it back up again? Maybe. 10 seconds, bro. There it is. All right, 10 more seconds.
Oh yeah, it's like hour 20. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on where it was, I would probably take it.
Oh, you know. Okay.
Cash it.
Beard.
That'd be cash.
Okay.
Again,
Beard.
it's good enough. Even if I deadhead it back, I'd still be making some money.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And Carlos, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, times is hard. So I'm gonna cash that.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a rental. You know what I mean? You gotta pay that rent. And those $100 chips help that rent.
Hey, autopilot.
Yeah. Oh, you have autopilot in it
Yep.
too?
Oh, even better.
Man.
Yeah.
Is that the Hertz deal? You have a Hertz deal?
Yeah, it's a Hertz rental.
And it has
Is it for
autopilot?
sale?
This is the Hertz car.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, it's autopilot, not full self-driving. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean keep it in the lane and brake assistant stuff? I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you guys had the 3 trips, and who won, buddy?
We'll talk to him for a couple of
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
so
Let's talk about it. So,
we can have our audience
Carlos, let me hit you up
continue
real quick. How do you like the Hertz rental? How long you've had the Hertz rental?
Believe it or not, I was the first one to take out the Hertz rental in October 2021, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been renting since 2021. I've been through like 6 Teslas. Nah,
Oh shit!
I've been through 6 of them.
Okay. Are you? I mean, I'm assuming you're a full-time driver.
Yeah, full time. I also have a part-time job at Del Taco.
Okay. How many hours a week you're pumping in there? 50?
For Uber?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 50.
50.
About.
And your monthly is what on that Hertz? Like $500 including charging, insurance, everything?
Nah, you know what's funny? So I don't do the insurance. I don't do the roadside assistance. I have the smallest battery. I'm paying, and then I live next door to a supercharger that is the cheapest charger. I pay $395 a week.
Everything in?
Everything in $395, including with charging.
Wow, that's pretty good. How many trips
I got
you put
lucky.
out there? 100 trips a week?
It depends. Sometimes I like minimum, like I do 60, but then again, I have another job that I just ask more hours for.
Okay.
But yeah, like I try to do minimum 60. So the rental.
You're getting the dollar out. Yeah, that's okay. Cool. I mean, $395 is a good deal.
I got
Beard,
lucky, yeah.
from Boston. How's the market? I mean, we have a lot of people in Boston. Market's pretty good in Boston, no?
In Boston itself, yes. Down here
Yeah.
on the Cape, it's kind of the dead season. So
Okay.
if I want to make any decent money,
Yeah, you gotta go.
because it's slow down here, It's an hour 20 up into Boston, but even with that dead time, it can pull in some pretty good money.
What kind of car do you drive?
2018 Honda CRV.
Perfect car. Good mileage, dependable. You know,
I average about 34 miles to the gallon putting around.
Yeah,
And then if I'm out on the highway, I can get 40, 41.
Are you a full-time or part-time driver?
Technically part-time. My daytime job has me as
Okay,
a designer and programmer.
Awesome. And Josh, the newbie.
Yeah.
Okay, you sound like a veteran. You don't sound like a 2-week driver, bro.
Well, yeah, I was like even reconsidering my answer after that first one, because I was like, even that Buffalo trip was, I think, like 90 something for about an hour to the stadium. And I mean, they ended up paying me more than that for how long it took me to get out of there and stuff. But so
I mean, I don't know Buffalo. Look, I don't know Buffalo Stadium, but my tip always for picking up at events. I mean, you're saying it's not surging. Do they have like designated pickup areas that they pay you more?
I
Like
never even got close to there. Like they were like, just let us out, and you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
just staying
you
like
were dropped off, right?
Right. Yeah. Like I brought them from Rochester all the way out there.
Yeah. So basically, he was coming in the early afternoon before the game started to drop them off, probably
Right.
tailgate and all that. So going to the stadium so it's basically on like there's 4 crossroads. It's Abbott, Abbott 20A, and Big Tree, and Southwestern, and California. So there's not a lot of roads going into it. So they'll actually shut the traffic down when you're going to pick somebody up. Yes, there is a pickup lot. The problem is, if you're coming from anywhere else around the stadium, you have to go all the way around in order to try to get there, because they'll shut down all the traffic going out of the stadium to people coming in. So you have to go all the way around in order to just to get there. So that's a real nightmare within itself. Then trying to get to the pickup lot, get the people, and then leave when you're in the same traffic as everybody else. It's an absolute nightmare. It's not compared to other cities and the way that they have theirs set up. So, and you know, they're putting the new stadium literally across the street from the old stadium on Abbott. So it's not really much of a difference when it comes to how traffic pattern is. But when it comes to that place, it's a nightmare trying to do that. When you pick up from the Sabres, HSBC, or Key Bank Center now, it's not that hard. It's actually quite easy, because there's a way, if you go that particular way, you get right to the pickup area, and then you can get right on the highway. And that's usually most of them. Sometimes they'll go downtown though for bars. But yeah, when it comes to like those bigger events, that's why I just stay away from picking up people on Sunday afternoon or after a game, because it's just an absolute nightmare unless you know, you're hurting, and they don't really offer anything extra compared to, you know, a $20 surge or something.
My thing was, I don't really know. They said that it added for, you know, the amount of time that I was just sitting there, and multiple times that even Uber called me to make sure that we're okay and not broke down and stuff.
Safety.
Yeah, it doesn't really. How do you know how much as far as time? Like, what do they add? I don't really understand there.
Yeah.
They're not really going to.
Right.
I don't know how. I mean, depending on the time that you went to drop them off, and when you were actually getting there, depending on what road you took, I mean, you probably shouldn't have ran into too much traffic actually, like right around the stadium, because most people are just getting there. But this one was a little different because they had half the parking at the mall that's down, and they were busing people over because the way that all the snow fell, that they weren't able to get all the lots open. So it was a very unique game when it came down to how they were operating and everything. So that was probably a lot different too, where they were probably busing off traffic differently. So this game, honestly, going to the stadium, I'm not sure.
All right. Who won the $25?
All right, let's end that poll right now. We have our winner of hold on.
That better be me, damn.
The rental.
I need everything right now.
Carlos is our winner, 40% of the votes.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Carlos.
Email me, Sergio at the RideShare Guy.com.
Josh Beard and Carlos.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Are you
All right,
seeing
have
what
a
I'm
great rest
seeing
of
out
your
there,
day.
Carlos? Are you seeing what
What's
I'm
up?
seeing out there? That is dead as doornail out there. It's like too many
Yeah.
goddamn cars. Yeah.
I'm in Pomona. Yeah, it's dry.
Wow.
It's
Shit.
dry, man. What do we do? I don't know what to do.
There's not much you do. You just take everything, bro. You're in a rental. You got to drive. You don't care mileage. You don't care about any of that. You just take it all and let the app take you where it's going to take you, and that's the only way you're going to make money. And when it surges at
Yeah.
night, if you drive drunk hours, cherry pick the fuck out of it. Otherwise, you're going to take. There's not much you can do.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, thanks for coming on.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
Josh, thank
Beard, thanks
you.
for coming
Thank
on.
you, Mr.
Appreciate it.
Beard.
And Carlos,
Thank you, Carlos.
congratulations on
Email
winning.
me, Sergio at RideShareGuy.com or no money. No worries in a rental. Yep, Roxy. How are you, Roxy? How's your horse?
You know what?
Roxy bought
I
it.
think what we need to do, we should have Carlos on a BTW talking about renting a
I
Tesla.
thought about it,
Make
original
it work.
renter, renting for 2 years, 3 years almost,
Yeah.
2.5 years.
And I mean, hey, it's working for him. So it might be, I mean, there is definitely a break-even point. It just it depends on how you hit it and how you fit it.
60 trips is
you know,
not that much. I was thinking he's doing like 150 trips a week. 60 trips is not that much, bro.
Yeah.
Especially if you
Well,
get those
either way-
$3.62.
Either way, I think that would probably be a pretty good behind the wheel when it comes down to it. And then, I mean,
I think
Hertz is getting rid of their Teslas. Actually,
know.
that's the next segment
Okay,
that
there
we're
are
going to
some
talk.
crazy good deals out there, bro. There are some crazy good deals right now. I mean, look, the mileage obviously is going to be high on these things, but
Well, here's the thing. Would you want a, let's see, this says 95,000 miles for $22,000 for a Tesla Model 3 base sedan. Would you honestly pay $22K for something that's got 95,000 miles on it? I wouldn't. That doesn't make
if
financial sense to me.
that may not include the incentives. Okay, that may not include because some Model 3s get half the incentive
Yeah, but
now.
still, you got
I mean, if
you got 100,000 miles on the car almost already, and
yeah,
there's
but
still
for electric engine, no big deal.
Well, I'm just talking about the mileage in general. I don't
I know,
know.
I know.
To me that it doesn't work.
In
Even I mean,
California,
you got
California, Chris,
42,000. Here you go. You got a Model Y long range
yeah,
for what is that 30,000? I think for 42,000 miles. Now that one is a little bit more doable. But
Model Y,
I mean,
yeah.
even the new, you could get a 23 or 24 Model Y at this point, long range, for you know I'm assuming this is coming from California, these particular screenshots,
Most
with
of
the
them are,
incentives of everything. You could probably get it for, 45,000 at this point or so, or right around there. I
yeah.
mean,
Well, there's a
granted, you
big
don't
difference.
really want to go new, but you get you gotta figure out the costs associated with everything. I mean, these prices, a little too
Yeah,
high
no,
for me.
I think you with all the incentives you have now, you can get a Model Y, maybe even under 40 grand. Well, EV money. Okay, Gabe did not buy the Tesla. You know that, right?
He said he did. What the hell? Now he switched.
He switched.
Oh,
You know what
boy.
he bought? You know what he bought?
Let me guess, another Bolt.
No,
Oh, we got another Buffalo. Hey,
he
David.
bought an Ioniq 5.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
I gotta email him after or text him after and be like, "Why'd you switch?"
no, he switched because he got the car for like song and a dance, bro. I mean, they gave him so many discounts. He was like, Tesla was going to cost me $600 a month on a 5-year loan. This one he got for $300 a month on a 5-year loan. I mean, hello,
Okay, well,
come on.
I mean, yeah. The only difference is you can't make that black and sign up for Lux Black or Uber Black.
I don't think he bought it for that anyway. But I
No,
mean,
he
look,
didn't.
man.
And
Well, he's gonna do the Lyft, 150 because he's grandfathered in 54 150. I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
right there is
here's
half
the thing. Is he grandfathered in, or is the car grandfathered in? So if he puts a new car, is he going to be able to be reflective of that
Good
150, or is it going to drop down to 80?
Good question, but we'll have to ask him that. But I'm pretty sure as a driver, you're grandfathered in. I don't think the car matters, but we'll find out.
I would probably base it on the car because you got a new EV. Well, that doesn't qualify anymore because you're putting a new car in. I wouldn't be surprised if they played that game.
No, I mean, there are some good deals out there, but that 22,000, 90,000 mile Model 3 probably will, with the 2,500 first time buyer discount and the other discount, you may get that like for 15 and a half, 16 grand. For an EV, that's not bad. Teslas are good. Like Kyle Wezoom was here. He's got 110,000 miles on his 2021 Model Y. All he did was change tires once or twice, I think. No brake jobs, nothing.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm not saying, but to fork over 22 with 100,000 miles, that's a lot.
Yeah, but if you get
That's
the
a lot.
discounts, maybe, I don't know. But because Honda is getting, they are giving 70. They gave him 7,500 cash because they fell out of the 7,500 tax credit, but he got more discounts on top of that. So
California's got quite a bit going on there.
Yep.
But I mean, hey, if you're looking for a used Tesla right now, that might be a good spot to go because Hertz is selling off their inventory right now, and yeah.
What other gig, Roxy? What do you have? What do you have going again, Roxy? Roxy has always some shit happening. All right, so we got a couple things left.
Maybe I'll buy a second car and I'll get a Tesla. So who knows?
Maybe.
You gotta let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know. All right, let's go on. Let's talk about some more.
This is what I was interested in what Carlos is doing, right? Estimated gross earnings. If you gross $721, weekly total cost is $375. Pretty similar to Carlos's $399, and charging cost $61. So this is like $430. If you rent a car and if you gross to $721, your estimated weekly take home is going to be like $300. I mean, rentals, I am not sure, man. I am not sure. If you're not driving 50, 60 hours a week, I don't think rentals make sense at all. Do you think?
I think you got to figure out the break-even point first. Because if you're going to be driving over that break-even point on a regular basis, then yeah, it's going to absolutely make sense to rent. But if you're going to be kind of like up and down and left and right, it might not. And then, or it might be at certain times, and you got to play that. I think the reality is you have to do the math in order to figure out if renting is going to make financial sense for you or not. It absolutely will if you are driving enough. And yeah, if you're doing it full time, if you're doing a lot, I think renting is a smart way because you don't really have to worry about the car, and you're not putting all the miles on your car. You're not running depreciation on your car. You're not having to put the maintenance, everything. That's going to be on the person who you're renting through. The only problem is you don't want to be limited to just Uber or just Lyft. And
we're looking,
if I'm going to rent, it's going to be through Uber, only because the fact that you have more options available to you. So you could do Uber Eats, you could do package, you could do all the different things that Uber has versus just rideshare. So it gives you a little bit more.
Okay, would you, for the same price, if there was a car like electric EV, like Tesla 3 or Y, and you would be able to do all apps, including DoorDash, everything, would you go for that for the same price? Because there's a company out there now, they're coming around doing it, called Drive Whip. And a lot of people actually are renting in Florida through Drive Whip, and in Maryland and in DC. So they're coming to the West Coast.
That would be right there would be a lot smarter of an idea, because that opens you up to be able to do all the different ways that you're already doing. So if that's the option that's available and you have both on the table, you're going to go to the one that has less restrictions, because you're going to open yourself up to more possibilities of earning money.
Yeah. Well, and
then you're also not going to be docked on Lyft for the percentage down on the pay. You're not going to be docked off that. You're not there's a lot of smart decisions to be able to do that versus something else. So I hope that they expand further.
Yeah, well, I just sent it to Harry. Harry goes like, really? I'm like, yeah. So we're trying to get a hold of the CEO and hopefully talk to him. Nice. I think I would do it if you're giving me Lyft, Uber, everything else. I'm like, yeah, I'll take your car as opposed to the other car.
Yeah,
so
that's a smarter way to go. And then
that
Hertz, might even
Hertz, the 360 Hertz pulled on this deal, right? We're all going EVs. They go like, nope. But these Uber drivers are killing our cars. And then they go 360. We're gonna buy ICE vehicles now because these Uber drivers are absolutely killing our cars, bro. And I'm like, yeah, that was a bad decision.
Actually, a lot of it had to do with the pricing structure of Tesla. So they dropped their pricing,
Used car
and that
prices
had a
dropped,
lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So that was part of the reason why they're selling so much is because of that. The pricing structure was different.
Yeah, there were a lot of Tesla owners dead at the superchargers because of the cold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like that to me, that's the biggest reason why I would not get an EV right now is
Yeah,
because
not where you are, bro. 8 foot of snow. Come on, bro. No.
no, you know what? My Pilot, that thing, all-wheel drive, it's
Is
got
it all-wheel
great
drive?
clearance.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
got it.
Oh,
Good.
dude, when I bought my Jeep, I bought it with all-wheel drive in mind. Like that's why I got an SUV. I wanted something bigger, and then it was at the time where it's like, if I settle down, have a family, I want to have something. That's why I went with a Pilot because I wanted something that was as big as my Grand Cherokee. And then this came when we went out, and it's got a little bit more room for the kids. It's actually got the third row, so that's why now I can do XL, which is even better. And you get comfort and those different ones. But yeah, I mean, you get that ground clearance is so much better. I was driving 6-7 inches of snow on the ground, and she was pulling like a champ. I mean, she wasn't slipping, she wasn't turning, nothing. And you get a lot of cars that'll be out there, they're pushing the snow on the bottom, and they're not able to move the way a larger vehicle can. So I like it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. And Michelle, email address sergio@therideshareguy.com. Yeah, Amina Gill is the head of support there. I know her. So I mean, look,
You
don't
can't write
expect me to
miles
do
off
any
it, you can write
miracles. I can't do
off.
anything about reactivations. Please don't send me emails, but we'll take a look. Sergio@therideshareguy.com. So there you go. What else?
All right.
And we got a couple of funnies and we're done. But look, we're running, bro, 5 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, the fakes are back. Fakes are back. You guys thought I forgot about that? Uber Lyft? No.
I didn't know what happened last week. I'm like, what the hell?
I just skipped my brain, bro. I have so many. So this is like a bingo. G18 G180212.
It sounds like a Google code. It sounds like do not give this code out to anybody because
here it is, though. Yeah, this is my password for my bank account.
It sounds like it's your Google code. So if I have your email address, I might be able to get your password.
Did you yes.
Do not share the 6-digit code with anybody.
Sergio, did you ever think
your serial number?
Yes, of course. Did I ever think? No, I know. The ones that favor us, they always immediately get the money back. The ones that favors them, they never catch it until we catch it, and then they look at it. Of course. What do you think? I'm born yesterday. And the other one, Bender. I'm going off a Bender. I'm like, I don't know about that passenger.
And Bender, I mean, hey, I think we had a Bender on here already, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? We were talking about Futurama Bender.
Okay.
It could be a nickname, so that could be potentially. I'll give you that one for Bender. That's
really?
okay.
It's okay.
G180 212. I mean, are you in?
What is that? Is that her bank account number? I don't know. Or bank account passcode, maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway, so okay, my freaking light died. Okay, okay, we're running over, Chris. I gotta go.
Yep.
Here's the
Same
deal.
here.
I'm not going like anywhere. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Same here.
Next week, please come back. Malda, Minnesota Uber Lyft Drivers Association. They have a huge vote coming up on the 31st in the city council. We all need to support these people because if they pass this, our Joe and all the city of Minneapolis drivers are going to get boku rates in their city, $1.40 and $35. Okay, 1, 2. Please link in the show notes. Go read Len Sherman's article. Post it everywhere, share it everywhere. It's an amazing article. It came out because of you guys. All your screenshots are in there, proving that this upfront fares needs to disappear ASAP or overhaul. This is not working out. And other than that, Thank you for watching. Much appreciated. And that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
And,
It's free. Just thumbs up. Yeah.
thumbs up. Stay tuned for Crossfire. It will be coming between Sergio and Harry. You don't want to miss the back and forth banter between the two of them. If you're following Sergio or Harry on Twitter, well, now X,
Harry,
you may see some of the Twitter battles or X battles at this point. I think we're going to have to call it X battle at this point. So yes, make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Again, if you want more content from the RideShare Guy, there is the free newsletter. And if you want some perks and help support the show, remember, you can always become a member for the show. Our special monthly live stream between Sergio and myself, where it's going to be a little more laid back, a little bit more fun, and probably get into a few things that may not be able to be said on the mainstream. You might want to make sure you're on there and check that out. That'll probably be happening sometime next week. We'll make an announcement on the community tab for our members there so they know, and then we'll talk about it next week as well. With that being said, go Bills, kick some ass, beat KC in home. Can't wait for that. I actually might be going to the game, so we'll see what happens there. And yeah.
We don't want to end on a low note, but
low note, no, go Bills.
No low note. Tune in next week. Literally, seriously, it's an eye opener how these people fought and beat Uber and Lyft at their game, and change the city council, and now they're going to hopefully get their higher rates like Seattle. Good for you guys. And next week, we'll see you next week. Thumbs up, please.
Adios. Yep. That like.